happening.
We're live!
Hello, Gamergate. Today's Friday, January 15th. We're here now today to talk about various things that have been happening. In particular, we're going to be discussing some tensions and frictions, particularly in response to ARAF's recent article, which there's a lot to talk about that. And we're also going to be talking about We're also going to be talking about one of Monday Matt's videos that some people had some disagreements with, and we're also going to be discussing various happenings that have been happening over the past couple of weeks, particularly Mania's recent hit piece, the Ubisoft PC gamer scandal, and some things happened with GameSpot, and a recent scandal with the CBC, who's apparently planning on
more anti-Gamergate stuff.
Mm-hmm.
More anti-Gamergate segments, and they've already done a few. They have a
How
radio
many scandals does the CBC need to have?
7.
I don't know. I mean,
They just got Jan Gomeschi arrested for fucking rape charges.
No, we need 7 more scandals, then we'll take it serious.
Yeah,
but
apparently.
you get people talking about you, you know? It's all about negativity.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I guess I'll just jump right in here. So the first thing that we were going to talk about, Matt, you did a video not too long ago called Gamergate, a bitter pill that Gamergate needs to swallow. It was a video reply, actually, to something else. And originally, when I saw it, and I said this very publicly, I took exception to a couple of things. I was really upset because it seemed like you were sort of slighting all of the active, projects and active work that was going on, and you said that there was too much circle jerking. But a few days ago, not long after that video went up, the shit with ARAF and a lot of infighting happened, so I realized that you kind of had a point. So on that, I take back what I said. However, I still wanted to sort of take you to task on something else in the video, which is the fact that you seem to be, even though Mark Taylor lied and did what he did, you seem to be saying, well, it's okay because what he did ended up proving a good point. So for me, I had a little bit of an issue with that because that's sort of like what Zoe Quinn was trying to say when she said, oh yeah, I lied, but I did it for the right reasons. I don't think that we should have a double standard. So I was wondering if you would clarify on that.
Okay. Well, the thing with Mark is I don't necessarily agree with his actions necessarily. Like, he went a little bit above and beyond on his fabrications. He tried to make it as, I guess, legit as possible. Because I've seen people take something as innocuous as a tweet and fucking run with it, right? From like a sock puppet account that is very blatantly a sock puppet account. And this has been going on for 5 fucking months, right? So it's like every day my inbox fills up with shit constantly of Gamergate happenings. So people like to say that I don't know what the fuck is going on in Gamergate. To that I say, haha, I do actually, because people tell me and I read constantly. And so I see all this shit go down. I see everything that people run with that is just bullshit, and it's like no one gets called out on it, right? Very rarely does someone ever get really called out. What Mark did, I felt was great because it was one of those wake-up calls. I don't agree with his methods, but I agree with what he was attempting to do. I'm the kind of guy that to prove a point, I would nuke the planet from orbit, right? I'm that kind of stubborn son of a bitch, and that's kind of where like I'm coming from with that. Is like sometimes you just need to get that smack on the ass to go, this is what the hell's going on. People have been taking Gamergate and running with it in different directions, which is fine because there's no leader, there's no council, no one's in charge. You can do what you want, but it means different things to different people, and oftentimes those become confused with each other or conflicting. Oftentimes because people don't really know.
You're speaking over each other. Hold on.
What's happening?
I don't know.
I heard Matt talking.
Piped up. Keep going, please.
Oh, I'm just saying, it's most of the time you have some people that are more like, I don't want to use the term militant, but maybe dedicated, than others that are still trying to accomplish something, and they step on each other's toes very frequently, and that causes some drama, as we've seen this last week.
Oh yeah.
So, in the concept of circle jerking, I mean, like, go to Kotaku in Action, read Kotaku in Action, and it's its own little thing. And you go to 8chan and you read 8chan, and it's its own little thing. And both are like, say that they're talking to each other, but they're really not. It's people go and they post stuff and they want it to pick up steam from where it's going. But because you get so much stuff happening at one time, so many OPs are happening at any given time that
Right.
I don't think anyone necessarily gets the attention it needs or deserves, because it's kind of like someone will just go, I have this idea, I'm going to post it, and then I'm going to walk away from it and let other people run with it. And that's a problem I think a bunch of us have, just in maybe like not necessarily for this, maybe in our own personal lives. We've all come up with ideas that we think would be great, but we don't have time to work on it ourselves. So it's not a negative. But when he gets
Right.
dropped on something and then picks up a little bit, and then that causes confusion with something else that might be similarly themed, then you get shit like
Right.
Solution 6, which is just shit posting, but then turned out to be real, but then still was shit posting. And you get all these things that have happened, and it just causes all this confusion. And in the state of the anonymous internet, anyone can create an account, anyone can say anything, and that really causes all sorts of issues that will happen down the road. It's a very long domino effect, because once you start distrusting one thing, you start distrusting other things, you start wondering who is working for their own benefit, who is shilling, if you will. Do you think your work is more valid than the person sitting next to you? That
Right.
causes those kind of concerns. And again, that kind of came to a head this week, which I thought was quite interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I won't disagree with you on that. But the one thing I will still ask you about is, I mean, I agree that what Mark Taylor claims he was doing, what he ended up claiming he was doing after the fact, and that's, I think, the key, is because he claimed it after the fact, was that he did the entire thing, pretty much because of what you said, because he wanted to show that there was too much circle jerking and people were too easy to jump on something, which was partly true. I mean, we did jump on it, but we also said at the time, hey, I want you to provide legal court documents proving this. And he said, oh, I have the documents, and he never did. So what I would ask you is, do you think that it was his original intent to do it as a wake-up call, or do you think that he just claimed that as damage control afterwards?
I would love to say that it was obviously to prove the lesson and stuff. But I can't be 100% positive about that. That's the thing. I can't be. I really don't. I don't think any of us can. It's not, I mean, people will immediately try to, explain something when they're caught. It's better to ask forgiveness than permission, obviously. This is one of those situations that becomes very, I guess you could say, convoluted as you get into it. I don't know Mark's original plan. I know what happened as a result, and I know my opinion of what happened as a result. It's not something like when I said it's a bitter pill to swallow, I think it's one thing that, like I said, I've seen this, from I guess a very different perspective than a lot of people, and so it's like I just see a lot of this stuff. I get emails all the time. I get people emailing me asking me, can you take over my website? Can you run my website? I don't want to do it anymore, but I think you'd be great to run it. I've gotten 8 of those emails from people. They want me to take over this stuff, and so when I see these little things, I'm just kind of maybe I'm just a little bit burned out, and so I've been kind of taking a step back, and I might have come at ahead of that, So I'm not saying that you guys were doing anything bad. I wasn't really trying to insult you, and I'm sorry if I did. I was more or less talking about the concept of you guys kept saying, no, we need verify, and then it was immediately back to the concept of, well, what if? And it's you can't, that's the problem with those discussions, is you want it to be real, and I get that, but at the same time, it's you're saying we need to verify this information.
Inaccuracy in your video. Something that you brought up as supporting evidence to jumping on things too quickly was that earlier in Gamergate, we had jumped on Zoe Quinn not actually donating to iFred, and we asked iFred if any donations from Depression Quest had been received. Now, iFred initially said that no donations had been received.
I remember that,
Then
yes.
Zoe Quinn donated, and subsequent requests to iFred to verify the date of the donation were ignored. They said that she did donate after she donated, but they refused to provide dates.
Well,
And
there is also another person that was handling a lot of that as well. I forget. It was another guy who worked on Depression Quest.
The fact that we were unable to verify whether or not she had actually donated and we couldn't get a clear response from iFred on that is that, like, there's a very subtle difference there between that and claiming that she had always been donating proceeds.
Well, I was under the impression that Depression Quest had donated, but through the personal account of that other guy whose name I honestly cannot remember right now.
I don't believe that's true, and I'm pretty certain that iFred refused to verify whether or not that was the case.
I'll
have to go back and try to find my information on that. It's been months. Like September 11th.
That's a minor thing anyway. I just wanted to bring it up
understand.
because
I understand. That particular day as well, though, if you remember correctly, was also the day that the Anita Sarkeesian police report debacle came up, right? And that was when it's like Gamergate, and I will fully admit that I was part of this as well, because you just kind of get involved in the hype at the time. It was like, we got them both, man. We got them both. We got Zoe Quinn. She hasn't been fucking donating. We got Anita. She never called the cops. We got this shit. It's over, And then it's just like, oh wait, no, Anita did call the cops, but then it went to the FBI. You know what I mean? And it's like things like that where it's like and that was something we were doing in the beginning. And it was because I think we wanted happenings to happen, and it's this thing, and was not supposed to last this long. Like nothing on the internet is ever supposed to last this fucking long, right? And it's just been a lot of like people really wanting it to have the next big step, the next big thing happen.
I think it already has.
And it has multiple times. A lot of things have happened. It's just back then too. That was September 11th. We were not even,
yeah, I remember that.
We were like a few weeks into this thing. It was the Gamergate hashtag was like 2 weeks old. It was so minor. Like this is before like all the misogyny comments came out, and this is before all the the hit pieces from MSNBC and across the board, right? Like it was still in its own little thing before it expanded. So it's like almost like a century ago in internet time is when that happened. Like it just feels like so long ago. So, and that's been the thing too, is people been like, when you have an open hashtag, you have an open discussion, people jump in, people get excited, and that's not a bad thing. People get excited, that usually tends to lead to other people getting excited because we feed off people's emotions like that. And then that can sometimes lead to go down into certain areas that, might kind of end up harming us. Like, and I've said this before, and I'll say this again. I think we, as a consumer revolt in terms of digging for information, completely skipped over Silverstream Media and went right to Digra, and that was like the progression that I think kind of screwed us, because Digra, we know what's going on with Digra. Sargon and those guys did a fantastic job, but because we overstepped that middleman, right? We went to the top dog. Now we can't go back to the middle guy because it's just now almost painless, right? Because you have to work at the ladder. But that's just the way I see it. That's just the way I see it.
I will say there is an ongoing. There's a couple of ongoing digs. One into Silverstring and another into Edge and Future Publishing. Some of which I've put out some of the Edge Future Publishing stuff. And unfortunate truth is that they have actually gone in and glassed a lot of stuff. Deleted things. Tried to clean up their act, so a lot of it now is circumstantial more than anything, sadly. But I will say that there is still a dig going on into that, so there will be more on that, hopefully. Still, it's not going to be left behind. Yeah, but I won't disagree with you. It would have been nice if we had hit that more first and then gone after it.
Well, because the camera lady stuff, is one of those things where, again, it's one of those moments where it's like there's something here. But the way that she presented it, and I remember when she posted that in the IRC at first, and the IRC guys were like up her ass about it. Like, you need to remove this, this needs to be clarified, do we have verification on this? And they were hitting it really hard.
So I was there for that.
You saw that too. No, you saw that too, right?
Based on her suggesting that the author of the software that ran the IGDA stuff was, like, the software itself was complicit or was enabling the conflicts of interest or something. There was like an open question about that in her video, and that was the only point of contention that we really had.
No, there was other things about there was a lot of stuff that was being said about certain like
I don't
uses
know
of
how
dialogue.
you know how things are being said when you're hardly in that IRC.
I was in that
Don't
IRC a lot back then.
back then, but
Back then,
I don't recall you being there for that.
I was in that
actually.
IRC
yeah, for
quite
the
a bit
time
back
you were there, you'd only be there for a short time, basically like bursts. So you would never understand the full concept of the conversation.
No, I was in there quite a bit.
I don't know.
You weren't there for that. Because we were like actually interviewing IGDA members in Burgers and Fries.
No, I know. I remember. I was there reading the thread. I just remember that guy's name when that.
No, you weren't in the chat though.
reading the convo when it was going on.
You
People
barely
are
even know how to handle an IRC client. You were using like some shitty web IRC client. And you don't.
I don't.
come
What does
in.
that have to do with the price of tea in China?
That doesn't have, to clarify, that doesn't have anything to do.
We're sort of we're
There's
all
nothing to. Yeah. Oh, I'm using the Rizon.net browser, and then I went over to
Yeah,
the
you
IRC
complain
client. It doesn't
about-
matter how I had access in.
guys. Yeah, this
All right, guys.
It's all irrelevant.
One at a time.
Look,
Yeah,
I
one
get
at a time.
that you're defensive of the IRC. I was in the IRC a lot back then,
You
and then I
weren't
did
in
leave the IRC.
when we were discussing this issue. You were not.
I was
present.
yes, I was in there. Yes, I
Bull
saw that.
fucking
Guys,
shit, you
I was
were.
in
'Cause
there
I
when
was
that-
Hold
fucking
on,
there,
hold on,
and I
hold
have
on,
logs
guys.
of it, and I
I
have
was
logs
talking-
of exactly who was in the IRC chat during
want-
that exact
I was talking to
conversation
camera
that you were
lady in the
just
IRC
talking
chat.
about.
Okay,
I was
guys.
in the- I was
Hey,
talking
One
to
at a
camera lady in the
time,
IRC
stream.
chat.
One at a time, please.
Everyone,
We
quiet.
could actually look at those logs.
Can we just
Go
get
ahead.
back
I
on
was
track?
in there. I was in there when that video, the first video was going up. I was in
All
there
right.
Look,
with
this is
camera
People in
lady.
their chat
Okay,
are saying
stop,
that you were in there for
stop.
5
Hey,
minutes.
hey,
and you
hey,
left.
hey,
Time out.
People in
Quiet.
Came in out.
This
Look,
is
it
a
doesn't,
separate
look,
discussion.
ultimately, it doesn't matter. Ultimately, it doesn't matter. That was when? Fucking October?
When you say some
October?
bullshit, I'm gonna call you out on it.
No,
that
because it's
was
not
a
bullshit.
fat
I
load
was
of
fucking
bullshit.
there. I was
Guys,
fucking there. I
Guys,
may not have
guys,
been there all
guys,
the
let
time.
Matt
I was
finish
getting
his
sent
point,
logs, I
and
was
then
getting
other
all the
people can
information.
respond.
So
We
the
can
fact
all be
is,
diplomatic here.
the fact is, I may not have been in there 24/7, but I was still in there quite a bit. So in the beginning, I was in there quite a bit.
Okay, well, at any rate, that's a separate discussion, not for this stream. This is a discussion more to be done offline rather than online.
Yeah, that's
So
that's actually.
I will
that-
second that sentiment.
this is, yeah. So I mean, trying to get back on track, going back to what was it? Legend.
Matt's
of-
video.
Yeah, Matt's video. So that was actually the stream, Matt, that you referenced was the stream myself and Andradal were in. I don't know who else was in there at the time. So apologies to them. I mean, I think there are going to be people that get excited when something comes out. So, I mean, if someone comes out and says, you know, I've got evidence of X, Y, Z, people are going to get excited. And while you acknowledged that we were saying, like, we need to verify it and stuff, we were also on stream talking with people in chat. So when it returned to what if scenarios, that's not us really jumping on anything as such, because we're still in a position where we're saying we need to verify. And then we consistently were talking with Mark Taylor throughout the next sort of 5 or 6 days, trying to get him to either come onto the stream or to provide us with more evidence so that we could verify, so we could actually decide whether or not this was true and whether to pick it up and run with it or whether to drop it.
No, I understand
At
that. I understand that.
At that point, he messaged us and he said, "I will release information on Friday." So we dropped the topic until the Friday, and that's when the police report, the fake police report, was issued. And at that point, we had another stream where he said he was willing to come on the stream on the Friday to talk about it. And at that point, we had done a lot of work before the stream trying to debunk it. And like the first, I would say the first 20, 25 minutes of the stream are just us going through all the things that were fake with it. And then, of course, he released his TwitLonger post saying this was fake and these are the reasons why I did it. And you know what? I appreciate the sort of the intention of his actions. I think it was a very clumsy way of doing it, but I do appreciate the idea that people do need to verify. But I think that as a movement, we've been going, 5 months now? I think as a movement, we've been burned enough times that people do recognize that they need to verify everything first, and that's a lot to do with information that's come to us, and it's a lot to do with information pushed out by people who are against Gamergate that then turns out to be false anyway. So as a movement, I would say at least the vast majority of people do go out of their way to verify. And then, so, I mean, Mark ended up messaging me on Twitter saying, oh, this was my intention because you just jumped on it. And I said, yes, but we jumped on the tweet, and then we immediately started trying to debunk it, because that's what it is. I don't really understand how it sort of links in with sort of any sort of circle jerking issues. Perhaps you
I wasn't referencing as like.
No,
yeah,
I don't think you. I think
it's
that.
more. I was saying you guys
Yeah.
directly. I'm saying it's like everything I have seen, and I've seen a lot. That's the point I'm trying to get to. Is I see a lot of what's going on. Believe me, I inbox every day. So the point is, shit that I see is that's my take on it. Is like there's been so much stuff that people could have done, I think, to get maybe the message across a bit better to fight some of the battles. But people, at the same time, I don't speak up on a lot of it anymore because it's like, fuck it, It's like I've been attacked so many fucking times over shit that I had nothing to do with. I just said, fuck it. Like, I'm going to kick back, just pay attention, speak up when I feel it's necessary. I'm not covering the day-to-days anymore, because I find that as a result, from what I think Gamergate is intending to do in terms of, because you have to look at it. Are we a movement? Are we a consumer revolt? Are we a community? And the three things are somewhat mutually exclusive, but at the same time they're also separate.
Yeah. So I mean, I would agree in that as Gamergate on its own, it's not even just a single group of people. It's sort of a microcosm of lots of individual different groups of people. We've got a group running on Kotaku in Action. We've got a group on 8chan. We've got groups on Twitter. We've got lots of different people who have just said, okay, well, let's just talk about stuff on Skype. So there's lots of these little groups, and potentially when you get something like that, you end up with lots of little groups going away and doing their own individual research, and you end up with lots of little groups that may potentially jump the gun or may potentially do a lot of research. And I think we have a problem with that, but at the same time, it's more beneficial than having any sort of leadership structure or anything, because I'm
going to have to actually disagree with you there. And the reason why I disagree with you is not pushing the leadership aspect, but like more of an open information dump, so to speak. Some people are intimidated by Reddit. They don't want to go there. I know Sargon hates Reddit, right?
Yeah.
Some people don't want to go to 8chan because of the child pornography implications, even though that's a that's bullshit. All this shit's going on 8chan is bullshit.
Pornography on fucking 8chan.
But the point is, but the implication of it being there is, out there, even though it's bullshit. The thing I'm trying to get to is, like, you have situations where you've got, you got people who don't want to go to specific avenues. They don't want to go. Some people hate Twitter. Some people hate YouTube. They hate Facebook, right? They hate Skype. They hate all of these things. And so where do they go to get that information? Where do they go to keep up with the happenings, right? And when you say, oh, well, we've got groups in these little areas over here, I can see the point of maybe covering the spread, but it still causes confusion because there might be something referenced in Kotaku in Action that goes back to something maybe that was said on 8chan that was in reference to something else completely, and following the breadcrumbs is very hard to do.
Yeah, you start to lose the pieces.
But we do end up with sort of semi-repository sites, so we do end up with
there are some, and I think
Gamergate.me and stuff. So I mean,
there's like Gamergate.community, and there are sites that are available.
I think that's less of a leadership problem and more just a problem to do with considering how Gamergate is such a widespread group of different people with different tastes and interests. It's going to be a case of you can't find one unique solution for everyone that everyone's going to be happy with saying, I'm going to get all my information from here, because hell, people do that shit with like Wikipedia, and look how that's fucking turned out. So
yeah, fortunately that's heartbreaking though. Really, that is. I fucking love Wikipedia, and just that whole shit.
This is a really good segue into the next topic, actually.
Yeah.
So about the Gamergate Illuminati and Arif and his ridiculous news post,
which wasn't even news.
Before we move on to that topic, Andrew, you had something to say about the what went down with Mark Taylor and Matt's video and etc.
Yeah. Since I was the host of the stream, I was there the whole time, and the thing is that it wasn't just because of the whole Mark Taylor thing we got excited. We also got the information that Gawker may be investigated as well. So it was 2 cases just blowing up while we were streaming. So it was kind of the case there. And we asked after we like calmed down a little bit after like getting 2 bombshells. We were asking questions. I can contest to that. John Kermit and another one on the stream, Dustin, did a lot of work both on the stream, after the stream, and on before the next stream, and we had it pretty much debunked. And I rewatched the 21st minutes, and we had it nailed down before he tweeted this out. And yeah, I did comment that on your video, and I don't know if you saw that, Matt. That's just how I experienced it, and yeah.
No, I get that. Look, I'm sorry if I offended you guys. I am. I truly
But
am.
you didn't.
No,
No worries.
It's more like, you know, I come at it from like I just want people to like, you know, I go and I read 8chan and I read the shit on there that's just blatantly like just way out of left fucking field, because it's probably a lot of you know, a lot of misinformation being brought in from an anonymous source, you know, and I've seen people take with that and run with that on Twitter and shit, and it's just like, you know,
yeah, I can
after
understand.
5 months this should not be happening, but it's still happening all the fucking time. You know, after King of Pole stream on November 6th, it should never happen ever the fuck again, right? Like, ever. Anything, you know, it's just fucking wait for verification before saying anything.
Yeah.
I we're jumping the gun, yeah.
Yeah, and that's the point. It's like, I mean, I get the enthusiasm, and the enthusiasm is awesome. You know, you guys, you know, we're all in this for the same goals. We all want, you know, we all want to see Gawker taken down. We all want to see shit reformed, and we want to see shit get better. And we're being, you know, assaulted constantly. You know, like by a multitude of different sources from around the web, by people who are not morally better than any one of us, but they sure as fuck act like it.
Nah, they're criminals. I mean, you know, it's becoming increasingly apparent to me that a lot of these people, whether, you know, in the case of people like Wu and Sarkeesian, whether ultimately it's determined whether they committed, you know, tax crimes or anything like that, whether they're actual literal criminals or not, they act and have a mindset of a criminal. Increasingly is what I'm seeing. And when I say these people, I don't mean SJWs. I don't even mean everybody who participates in the little gamer Gazi
specific
cult.
individuals.
Yeah, I mean the specific people. You know, the pundit / you know, media professional victim racket tycoons, people like Sarkeesian, etc. I think are increasingly criminals. But I do want to bring up one more thing on this topic. You know, first of all, I will say, yeah, you didn't really offend any of us. Second of all, my response to what you said would be, yeah, I mean, you know, we shouldn't have given it any hype. We should have just immediately said, Saucer, get the fuck out. I mean, we did temper it, but still, yeah, lesson learned, and I'll take that going forward. The last thing I'll say on the topic, though, you put out a tweet, which I linked inside there, where you said that IRC people hate the Twitter people. I'll refute that and say that I don't think that particularly HN people hate Reddit people, or Reddit people hate Twitter people, or Twitter people or IRC people hate each other. I think that everybody has their own zone, and I'm sure that if you were to quiz like Kotaku and Action on what they think of HN, you would probably hear some negative stuff. Or if you were to quiz IRC on what they think of, you know, Twitter, you would probably hear people saying, "Oh, I think it's bullshit." But as a group, none of these, you know, individual pieces, which are all part of the same thing, the same omnipresent, you know, mass group of people, you know, really dislike each other. I think that sometimes that gets misportrayed, and I think that people get the wrong idea. I think maybe you got the wrong idea about that. I mean, that we really don't, you know, like hate people on Twitter. Most of the people on IRC are some of the biggest shit posters on Twitter as well.
Yeah.
So.
No, there's a lot of shit posters on Twitter. There's a
I
shit posters.
fucking love shit posting on Twitter. It's
Yeah,
the
we
best
love it.
thing Like the best part of 2014, shit posting on Twitter.
Yeah, I mean, I have to say, like I think shout out to the Halo House.
To play devil's advocate, can't you see how shit
Devil's
posting on
advocate.
Twitter
I love them.
can bring out some issues? I'm just saying, it's like, I'm not saying don't shit post. I'm saying it's like, it's like we have to be wary of into what context we're shit posting. It's like I was shit posting for shits and grins at the end of August, like before PAX. Like I made a mock-up of, or had a mock-up made of the Five Guys Burgers and Lies, PNG. People could print, wear on a shirt at fucking PAX. Ha ha ha. Shit posting. People took that shit fucking seriously, right?
It was a false flag attack.
I don't even remember that.
It wasn't a false flag attack. It's
It was
fucking
totally
bullshit.
a
It was
false flag.
stupid. It was
was.
stupid. It's not a false flag. It's being stupid. There's entirely something different there, and meaning wasn't malicious. It was just fucking dumb, And I put on there, yeah, dumb joke, But it's still, people tried using that against me and shit. It's like, okay, well, we all make dumb jokes. There we go. Moving on.
Everybody's gonna be critical of everything that you say.
Oh yeah, no. To the point of even that fucking ass Boing Boing article that a Man in Black posted the other day referenced that. And was like, oh, he was trying to do this, and some people were trying to say that I was trying to sell T-shirts, but I was trying to. People have been accusing me of trying to sell shit for months, and I'm like, all right, whatever, I'm not selling anything. It's like that's the problem with it too. Is like looking through. Yeah, well, this is like just to say for like shit posting in terms.
I think they got to that point when you made that Roku video, so it made it look like you were selling out. But like Roku apps are like free and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a media background person, man. Like I look for shit that's cheap or free. Like, it's like I have a Patreon, I don't shill it. You know what I mean? It's there if some people have asked me to have it up there. That's how it is. I don't fucking talk about it in my videos. I don't say at the end, support my Patreon. I don't make those claims. I fucking have it there. People want to do it. That's precisely it. People like they'd like to know how they can help out. Most I say is just disable ad block. That's the best you can do. That way nobody fucking loses. Right? Like, you don't spend any money. Maybe you spend 15 seconds on an ad. That's about it. That's all I'm trying to say.
People have to find an alternative to supporting their YouTubers when they don't want to watch ads.
Pretty much. But then again, it's like, I don't make a big deal about it, but people like to think that that's the case. Like, I was reading the 8chan thread that this particular stream was posted in. I was reading before coming on, and I was just laughing because it's all like, people are just like, oh, mundane shill, and I'm like, whatever, man. Like, it's just like the misinformation in there, it's probably just fucking joking around, but that, again, for people who are coming in who don't know it, that stuff can even lead to like people having thoughts down the road. There's those effects that take place. So shit posting can have long-term effects if you're not careful, right? Even in the context of 8chan, it can have those, it can still play out to the larger pool. And that's the problem that we face. And that's where you come into humor and joking around. It's a very fine balancing act that no one can ever master. Personally.
I will admit that one of
I
the
have
problems
mastered
that, well, that's because you smoke a lot of weed, because you're based. But I will say this. I will admit that there has been an issue, and this is going to segue into our next topic really well. There has been an issue with people taking humor and shitposting literally.
Before we segue into that
flying
issue,
off the handle about it.
Dan, before we
Absolutely
segue into that
fantastic.
topic, Andrew does not have a lot of time, and he did want to cover a topic that he personally was involved
Go
in.
ahead.
So,
Go right ahead.
yeah.
One more topic on the first thing, and then yeah.
So yeah, you wanna just take me to the quick version of it. Yeah, I've been a member on GameSpot for like 10 years, and
yeah, you sent me that, and I read all of it.
yeah, some people here know what I'm talking about, and basically the last few weeks, they've blocked pretty much all threads related to Gamergate and the main discussion boards, and after the makeover, there aren't a lot of boards left on that site. So they have like two main boards where you can talk about general game stuff, and Gamergate stuff has been on those boards. So one of the moderators started to lock down all the Gamergate related stuff on one of the boards. I complained, didn't receive anything from the community manager. She said she was going to talk to him, but I never received anything that had an effect. So Yesterday I posted the ABC thing on the other board, and it got locked. So just to prove my point, I posted the same topic on the other board, and it got locked there as well. Meaning they basically censored everything regarding Gamergate. So
They
after
censored the discussion, right? Not the actual video.
well, the Gamergate discussion, it
Okay.
was kind of in the same topic.
They
So
very well knocked the whole thing down.
yeah, so I wrote an article about this, sent it to Ralph. Ralph has an article up. I'm talking to the community manager as we speak. She's giving me some insurances that it's not gonna be locked down again, but I'm
Oh,
not.
that's good.
I'm not pretty sure. It's kind of an ongoing thing. So, but it's kind of a shame that I had to resort to that sort of thing before they actually listen to me.
That
Because
happens all the time. People will just go around people.
yeah, and I took it up with the said two moderators, and they pretty much one of them said I should contact customer support, even though I clearly showed him the evidence that I did not break any terms of use or board rules. So yeah,
How long you been a member of that website?
10 years.
10 years. And they started censoring his shit.
Yeah.
Damn.
That's fucked
Yep.
up.
Perfect example of the kind of stuff that happens every day at this point. You know, we've had censorship attempts by basically trying to knock HN down. We've had censorship attempts by them trying to knock the Ralph Retort down. They've called me specifically a terrorist several times now. Now it's not surprising that we have the GameSpot stuff. Although you would think that for somebody who's been a contributor and a user for 10 years, they would have a little bit more respect. But it just shows you how really how shallow, I guess, some of these people are. They just don't care. You know, what matters is the agenda and the narrative, and any threat to that has to be burned up. Like they can't risk the criticism.
Hey,
Yeah,
you know what though? You've got Total Biscuit like going full support on Twitter though. Like I can see him mashing out so many tweets about this.
Oh, he's pissed, and you
Yeah.
know it gets even better because they've just, now in the wake of the ABC thing, it appears.
You know why
and I
he's
can't say
especially?
this for sure.
Do you know
It
why?
appears they've tried censorship again. They've deleted. Oh well, I'm going to say it this way: nobody can be sure because of the way the YouTube comment section works. But it would appear that several of the top comments on the ABC feed have been deleted, including Total Biscuit
Apparently,
Total
apparently,
Biscuit sent a tweet. He said that his wasn't deleted. He just simply
Okay, good.
removed
That
the
clarifies
replies
it.
on his.
was it? Oh, apparently, I was speaking to someone, and apparently they were speaking to him, and apparently it was removed, and then he couldn't post on the video again, which sort of implies a shadow ban.
Oh, yeah, it's a ban. Yeah.
So, yeah, I guess.
Yeah,
It's
he's gonna
that's
get
what
mad.
It's difficult to tell, but it certainly
He
appears
can't
it's not
post
just
again.
him.
He's banned.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
so-
Shoe on Head has been hit. So it's not just him. Like several people that have posted comments or posted top
You know
comments.
what? You know,
So
You know what's kind of really make him mad when he finds out that ABC is owned by Disney, and he kind of is underneath the same thumb.
I mean, I've known that. And I would hope that most people understand that what that means. I haven't. This is the thing. If you review ABC News's history over the last decade, going back to about 2005, 2006, even before that, you will find that they have not been a reputable news source really since 1999. To the point that you could go back to any story they did in 2003 on ABC Nightly News and stack it up right next to the same nightly news reports from CBS and NBC, both very liberal-leaning MSM, on the same night. And what you'll find is that ABC covers less of the actual facts, less of the actual story, and more fluff, and has consistently done so since about 1999-2000. So they right about that time frame, they ceased to be reputable. They haven't been reputable since. They've all been fluff. That is why they are number 3 out of the 3 major networks. That is why their audience continues to shrink. And I think the response to that video is perfect. It sucks. No, everybody hates it. Mike Lyon hasn't been reputable for at least 8 years. They don't bother. The difference between ABC and the other people is they don't bother to conceal the bias. They don't care. They just report what they want, and they said fuck it a long time ago. And I mean, it's owned by Disney, so it's going to be what it's going to be. So I think people should take this with a grain of salt and realize that that's what's going on here. But we will get into that more. Underall, if you have anything else.
Yeah. Okay. Just an FYI, Total Biscuit did post. Basically, his comment isn't visible when he's logged out, but when he's logged in, he can see it. So that's a shadow ban.
Yes, correct.
If the GameSpot even would have even listened to, I had even complaints before they had a makeover in 2013 where they basically deleted all the private boards, which I had managed one for 8 years prior to that, and if they had just kept that, this wouldn't even have been an issue, but they've limited the discussion to pretty much 2 boards to this stuff. I'm gonna.
So what you're saying is they're trying to squeeze it out like a zit.
Yeah.
Got
it. I will keep you guys posted because I'm talking to the community manager on GameSpot. They took notice after I posted it on Reddit and the whole article thing. So if you guys have any questions, just ask me away. If not, move on to the next topic. That's pretty much all I had to say.
I'll put one thing on that. Matt, how do you feel about this kind of stuff? The censorship and the squeezing, the fact that it still happens and that they're so desperate to stop any criticism.
It's like laughable, man. That's the best way to describe it, I think. I mean, it's infuriating, but it's been happening so frequently and so much for the past almost fucking half year, if not even before when we weren't even fully aware of it, It's just insane. These people, they're so in their own little hug box that they can't have any kind of criticism. And the sad truth of it is the more that Anita puts herself out there and the more that they keep pushing these false narratives and the more we keep responding with "you're full of shit," the more they're able to push the "look at us being victimized over here. Look at this guy with 2 million YouTube subscribers who's a driving force for change in the games industry, calling us bad. Obviously, he's a shitlord."
Yeah, and the best part is, though, that impenetrable fortress that Anita has put herself in is beginning to crumble, because if you've noticed in these hit pieces, they've always had a way to, well, we got to be fair about this, so let's have like a 1-minute segment where people actually respond back. In the Al Jazeera one, she does not look good at all. And in the recent one, the guy's points is all the points you have to make. She's just drumming up money for herself based on the publicity, and she's being exploitive about the whole series of events. Mm-hmm. Essentially, it's like someone else mentioned, the Streisand effect. Like, the more they try to censor and control it, the more that
the more it's going to get worse. Yeah,
I think that's what's happened with this Nightline video. At the moment, it's got about 75,000 views. It's got 12,800 dislikes.
Yes.
636 likes, and that hasn't really moved at all.
And
that's just spiraled.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised if they're pulling an Anita tactic with the video itself, because how they're deleting all the big name people like Sargon, Total Biscuit, Chew on Heads, all the reasonable.
Yeah, that's
so
just
I'm thinking they might actually be pulling what Anita does, where delete all the comments that have well thought out points, leave the rest there.
But I mean, they're deleting the comments of like Total Biscuit, who's got like 400,000 followers on Twitter, some of whom may not have interfaced with Gamergate at all, and it's just going to spread.
Yeah, I mean, they're censoring that, but the point, I mean, it's like Anita's MO when she first did Kickstarter was, delete any or ignore any of the criticisms and just focus on the threats. I wouldn't be surprised if they're doing that. ABC is doing that as well, just if you do a follow-up and saying, we have this YouTube video, and look at all these threats.
The biggest thing you can do to piss off the internet is erasing a really good, well-thought-out point.
Yep.
Yeah, but
And
that
it's
goes for
happening
anything. I
all
mean,
over
even
the
if you're talking about somebody verbally saying a really good, well thought out point, whether they thought about it beforehand or they're just coming right off the top of their head. If you just act like they didn't even say it, act like it doesn't matter, that's gonna piss anybody off. 'Cause it's like, whoa, why are you gonna act like what I'm saying has no value here? Like, no, answer what I'm saying here.
Yeah.
Also, Tino in the chat says that we were wrong about something we said, that his posts weren't deleted. He was just shadow banned. So essentially, the posts are still there, but only he can see them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
So,
That's not-
how's that any
That's
fucking
basically
different?
the worst thing you can do.
yeah,
how's
because
that any fucking
initially,
different?
if it had just been YouTube's automatic removal
No,
with
this is
abuse
not.
of the button, then that would have been ABC would have been sort of in the clear.
YouTube's
No,
comments
ABC is
aren't
good.
as glitchy as they used to be. Like, occasionally it'll happen, but most of the time it just comes right through.
That's
This is
really
very obviously ABC. I think Underdoll was going to head out.
Yeah, I'm just gonna celebrate the rest of my birthday, and
Oh,
Happy birthday.
Oh, happy
Happy
birthday, man.
birthday!
Birthday, my man.
Should we
yeah,
sing him a
thank.
song?
I want to
Would
just
be bad.
take a thank you to Matt for just responding to my stream and my opinion of that.
Sure.
So
Thanks
yeah,
for having me on.
thank you for talking to the small people, so to speak. And yeah,
Everyone's the same, dude. I don't look at anyone as being bigger or smaller. Honestly, everyone's the fucking same. Because if you start looking at it like that, that's when you get into a lot of the other bullshit, and it's just not fucking worth it.
Also,
Yep.
it'll drive you insane.
Agreed. Yeah.
It's when you think of yourself as higher than other people that you start running into problems.
yeah.
Yeah,
Anyways,
You gotta be humble.
Yeah. Thanks for having me on. See ya next time.
Have a good one.
All right. Take
Bye.
care.
All right. See you, Underdoll. So, to move into the next topic,
Let's go.
Speaking of people thinking that they're higher than themselves, so I promised on Wednesday I would address this. Here it comes. So for everybody who knows, at Nearden, who is known as Araf to people in IRC, and is one of the writers or perhaps the co-owner of Triscallies.com, wrote a piece in which he claimed that there was a Gamergate Illuminati secret council that controls everything and that ran smear campaigns specifically with the intent of getting rid of King of Pol and Internet Aristocrat and other people in order to apparently, in his words, seize power for some kind of dry bones cult.
Okay.
The biggest heap of bullshit so far, but it is part of our infighting topic. But before we talk about the infighting aspect of it, let's just react to this shit. Yeah, most of the points that he uses, Matt made a really good point earlier about how people shitpost sometimes and then people take it seriously. Most of the things that he quotes, the logs, the posts that he quotes, are actual shitposts, sarcasm, trolling, which he took out of context to use for his article as if it was actually serious content. Furthermore, the article is rife with factual inaccuracies, and to top it all off, there is no fucking Gamergate Illuminati. The triangles, the memes, the Sele logo, all that shit that people were using, that is a shit-posting meme that people started using after Solution 6, myself included.
After
which is why
Solution 6?
That's all it is.
I think that we actually started that before Solution 6.
It did.
I don't know. I know I picked it up after Solution
Yeah, there was
6.
a lot of
but-
people with triangles before
As-
Solution 6.
As
It's
someone,
a fucking meme, though. That's the point. It's a goddamn shitposting meme. There's no Illuminati secret council. This has to be the biggest heaping pile of stupid shit I've seen yet. But the biggest thing about it that pissed me off was that it specifically is designed to cause more infighting. Fortunately, it didn't. Most people have dismissed it as the trash that it is. But that's specifically what it was designed to do.
You know,
It
it's
was-
kind
it
of
was-
bad when Gamer Ghazi actually dismissed it as crap.
Yeah, even Gamer
Yeah.
Ghazi dismissed it.
well, I mean, as someone who's not in this supposed super cool triangle Illuminati club, it is. The whole piece is literally just tied together with this fucking theory that it's the triangles. That's it.
Ancient triangles.
It's all the triangles, and I mean, it's like Operation Skynet was started by weaponized tweets. Who I haven't seen him around for a while, and he was never part of any supposed Illuminati bullshit anyway, and that's been referenced. The fucking all-seeing eye's been bloody referenced, and yeah, it's just shitposting. It's excellent shitposting, but it's shitposting nonetheless.
I mean, I think the original
Agents
idea
of Balance all
behind it-
over again.
Yeah, the original idea of it was just shit posting, but I think that, I mean, for me, when I set up my Twitter profile and my YouTube and everything, and I set it up to look as Illuminati as possible, the idea was to scare the shit out of Gamergazi by making them think that there's an actual gaming Illuminati. So, yeah, okay, welcome to like gaming Illuminati.
The best
but
thing
yeah,
about this is that
there's
Gazi
nothing.
is still not going to be sure that there's not a gaming Illuminati. Because even if they watch this stream and hear us talking about it, can they really be sure that we're not just, lying for them?
Well,
Yeah.
I don't.
It's a
I don't have
smoke
a
screen.
triangle. I don't have a
Can
triangle.
you truly
and-
be sure that there's no gamer Illuminati?
well, if there is, it doesn't involve any of the people in this chat.
Are
So-
you sure?
Are you sure?
Well, isn't that what someone would say if they were in the gaming?
That's exactly what they would say.
But
Exactly.
I don't have a triangle. You have nothing to go on.
Some people
So
don't
actually-
wear triangles.
To get to the root of why people are talking about the gaming Illuminati, you have to look back at Gamergate and at exactly how big it is. We knew in early October that Gamergate was at least 30,000 people. You could tell from the usage of the Kotaku in Action subreddit and the hits that we were getting on 8chan that we had a very conservative estimate was at least 30,000 people. And now we've got that guy that was doing the those neural network graphs and shit.
Chris von
of,
Steffelvey, yeah. So he
Yeah.
reckons there were 150,000 unique individuals
so
posting
that's
with
a shit ton of people. And
That is.
Yeah.
that definitely is bigger than any one IRC channel can possibly house.
fucking goober gib.
But how many of those people though were also from the anti-side?
Well,
or
that's
just
the thing. It was
something like-
150,000 unique individuals using the hashtag.
and that's fucking cool, regardless of really
Yeah.
kind of what side they're on, because it just shows the reach of this thing. It's not just 300 dudes and a shitload of sock puppets.
Well, that's the thing. The best part about it is, if anyone hasn't read them, I highly recommend. It's like a series. He's done like 5 different posts about it, looking not only about. He started
guy
initially looking at.
Oh, that's
Initially, this Illuminati bullshit was initially one of the topics. It was, is there like some sort of leadership structure? So he analyzed that. He broke it down. He couldn't find any evidence of that. He talks about retweets. He talks about mentions. He talks about all this other stuff. And he was completely neutral. He doesn't care either way. He gets a lot of hate from antis anyway because it's factual information done with statistical analytics. But hey, so yeah, there just doesn't seem to be any link to Gamergate being a hate group or any of the stuff that gets flung our way relating
What there
from either.
is a lot of different IRC rooms, a lot of different chat communities, a lot of different Skype rooms, a lot of different everything, because there are simply too many people to all talk to each other. So they group into little groups, and there's, usually people who play video games together, or
Meet each
people who
other,
know
yeah,
each
friends.
other IRL, people who are going to be saying things that they don't want people outside their group to hear. Like maybe you call your buddy by his real name or something, and you don't want
Yes.
to risk accidentally calling him by his real name. In a group of people where there might be somebody from Ghazi logging all your shit.
Yeah,
People
or
getting
maybe.
I know there's people from Ghazi logging all my shit.
Oh
They-
yeah,
Oh yeah.
maybe. Yeah,
God.
they love to call me a
Oh,
terrorist.
it broke my heart last night when Boogie tweeted out that he's like, "Oh, a man in black is a kind soul." I'm like, "No, he's not. No,
He's
the
not.
fuck he's
He's
not."
really
Really
not.
not.
Well, you gotta give kudos to Boogie because I feel like he tries to and honestly believes that it would be better if everybody could get along. I mean, we're
I
way
disagree
past
with that.
now.
I
But
understand
that's
that,
another-
but nothing that guy has done. I mean, look, I
Yeah,
may be an
no,
asshole, but
yeah.
fuck him.
You cannot call the
But,
relationship between a
I
woman
mean-
and a man in black a kind soul. I'm
This
sorry.
is. I agree with his point. He posted a tweet about 4 hours ago. His was, don't like modern video games, make your own awesome game that fits your need and sell them.
Yeah.
That's all anyone's been asking. People haven't been asking you to not make any games that you don't
Yeah.
like. It's
it's
stop
just-
it's
if
stop
you- if you
closing
wanna-
down ones that already
Yeah, stop trying to shut down criticism and other people's shit. Like this is the other half of Gamergate basically is The reason why this has become such a big thing is because we found direct evidence. We found direct evidence that they were trying to this San Francisco, racket, professional victim racket / gaming media clique was directly influencing content. Not trying to, not was planning to, was directly influencing, content and content creation. So it's kind of like we have no problem, and I say this to the other side because I know that they're going to watch this because I'm the internet terrorist.
Yeah.
We have no problem with you guys making your own video games and having your own safe spaces that are as politically correct as you want. That's not the problem. We have no problem with women in games. That's not the problem either. The problem is that you came in and decided that you were going to, as Anita Sarkeesian has said in her own words, reprogram the entire industry to be the way you wanted it, despite the fact that at least 2.5 billion people on the planet play video games. So this is akin to basically 50 to 60 rich white people predominantly in the United States of America trying to tell 2.5 in San Francisco, trying to tell 2.5 other billion people how their video games need to be made, and forget free thought and free creation. We're just going to do away with that. And how well has that worked out for you?
Well, the free market is a bad thing, and it needs to be removed.
One thing I will say,
fucking John McIntosh tweeting about that.
Yeah, but he also
down the free market.
He was talking about how non-profits were just as bad, and he fucking runs one.
Well, Jonathan McIntosh is an idiot, criminal son of a bitch, and I have faith that one day he'll end up in jail for something or other, probably for doing too many drugs.
I think what we can really hope is that he goes to another country and then does something there that goes against their.
Yeah, you know what? You and me are on the same exact mindset on that, because you know what I said to McIntosh recently? He's blocked me so he doesn't follow me, but I know that Badass Digest probably tells him everything I say because they have publicly called me an internet terrorist. He was saying all the stuff after Charlie Hebdo about how he thought that radicalized Islam, not Islam as a whole, mind you, but radicalized Islam, was the most vulnerable and marginalized group of people on the planet, so that they should do whatever they want, and he condemned Charlie Hebdo instead of the terrorists, so on and so forth. We won't get into the specifics. What I said about him was, I said, why don't you go live in the caliphate then? Since you obviously have so many issues with the misogyny in America, and you obviously have so many problems with the free market, go live under Islamic law, since you clearly like it. And anybody can join. You can buy an airline ticket and go fly to Raqqa, Syria, and become part of the caliphate, and people do it every day. So why don't you go live there? Yeah. Go live there, Jonathan McIntosh, please. Go live there, and then write blog posts. Go live there, and then write blog posts and make YouTube videos about what it's like to live in the caliphate compared to the misogyny in America. Please, I'd love to hear about it. I really would. And you can make a lot of money, for your Patreon. I'm sure people would support you taking a trip to cover the Islamic Caliphate. Maybe you might get your head cut off, but no loss, right?
All right.
But back on topic, I have something to bitch about. I'm pissed.
Okay, go for it first.
Okay,
so I'm a little bit pissed off that Ralph of the Ralph Retort provided Neardron all the fucking information that he would need to make this stupid-ass article, and then pretended not to.
Yeah, I will put up
about
this.
What?
Matt put up the sauce for that, but I'll put it back in.
So Ralph of the Ralph Retort leaked
these
direct messages that are in here. Several of these direct messages were not sent to Neardron directly. Like that one with Grib Ranix was sent directly to Ralph. He leaked that. Monday and Matt also just linked me a thing. Oh no, that was Zan here.
No, Matt put it up
Secret
a twit longer from Secret Squaff talking about
Secret Squaff here is saying that he doesn't even understand why the article was written by Neardan. Because he gave all this information that he gave to Ralph directly. So I don't know why Ralph feels the need to hide behind this fucking Arif guy.
Okay.
Fall guy.
Guys.
Well, wasn't there a thing before
that is a claim.
Where they who was it? It was a see-through review. Was called a shill, and according to him, Ralph had taken direct messages between him and see-through review, gave those to Max Schilling for You, who then in turn gave those back to Ralph, and then Ralph did that as a blog. That's what I heard from see-through review, and that's what he stands by that. So if that's the case, that's kind of an ongoing problem where you get information, give it to someone else to give back to you to then use as a source.
I don't even fucking know anymore, but this is
That's
some
pretty
fucking
fucking
sketchy-ass
complicated.
bullshit.
Guys,
What?
the Illuminati is real.
Yeah, it's totally real, man.
It is
Real?
real.
I work for Bilderberg.
Alright, you
I'm
know,
a senior member on the real
So,
Bilderberg.
wait a minute,
Yeah,
wait.
I
Are we an
take
Illuminati
control.
or Cabal? Are we an Illuminati or
We're an Illuminati secret
I think we're a
Skype
cult,
model
Terry.
group. We're a cult.
you're not.
Join the cult or get the fuck out. Oh, I can't wait
Okay,
for the
fine.
responses.
Fuck
I can't
off.
wait for the responses. Gamergate admits that it's a cult. I can see it all now. One thing I did want to bring up, and this ties in kind of to private messages stuff. Let's see if I can remember what I was going to say. Had to
Yeah, but
do
I don't
with
know where
Skype
somebody
groups.
who runs a journalism website like that gets off leaking his fucking PMs.
Well, he doesn't pull any punches in admitting that it is not necessarily a journalism website, but that it is a tabloid style site. Ralph has said that publicly, so keep
It's
that
a
in mind.
bitch move. It's a bitch move to do.
Oh my god.
And it really doesn't do him any favors in getting
You got a problem,
legit
Bacon?
sources.
What's up?
Yeah, man, I'm trying to tell the fucking truth here, and people are being dickheads.
All right, tell the truth.
Alright, I started the fucking Illuminati way back
Oh,
when
God.
in a secret fucking chat room. I fucking started in a secret fucking chat room. Then we built fucking Gamergate.me. I put the fucking triangle at the bottom of the footer of the fucking page. And then I spilled the Toonami, which I had help from Daggett. And
Oh,
we
God.
fucking spilled that all over 8chan. We shitposted it to hell. Fucking Drybones was controlling the Gamergate board at the time, so we managed to put that to the top. And
Boy,
fucking
man.
we managed to make Gamergate.me popular.
Shut it down.
So is this before or after Pterodax had mod?
It was
On Gamergate.
before. It was between the middle. So Pterodax had the mod power. Then you guys got rid of him. Then Drybones got it.
So is Pterodax part of the gaming Illuminati?
Hell no.
Pterodax is
Hell
part of
fucking
not.
no.
What about Nico of Death?
I have to
Possibly.
they are part of the gaming Illuminati.
Now,
They do reside on
I'm going to continue. Alright. Now, the seal shit that you're wearing, that you have, that was also fucking part of the whole thing too for promoting Gamergate.me as well.
Okay.
Yeah, that was
Shut
about it.
down. No,
Yes,
but,
it is true that we tried to co-op fucking King of Pole and try to make our own fucking thing to rise.
Well,
ourselves.
no, it's not. That's complete
No,
bullshit.
that's true.
I'll call you out on that.
No,
No,
that's
it's
you weren't
bullshit.
even there. I don't even know how
Horse
you could say.
Fucking
You
shit.
weren't even there.
Okay, first of all, horse fucking shit.
Because Bacon from Hell wasn't
Like, I
even
mean,
in the
if
real
you're
Illuminati.
saying that,
He was in the
ironically,
fake one.
yeah, no, nobody tried to co-op King of Pole. If anything,
Yes, we
he
did.
tried to warn King of Pole that he was going to get blown the fuck out.
The
Yeah,
Illuminati
well,
is like
he
an
blew
onion,
himself
and there are
the fuck
many
out.
layers to it. And in order to get to the center, you have
they
to
all
peel
stink.
off
Oh my
all of the
God.
outside layers of the onion.
We had like 3 fucking rooms, and people would have to like go
I'm not
into
talking like
each
a
one.
green onion either. I mean like a real onion.
We had like 3 fucking rooms, and people based on trust level would go up further up the scale, all the way up to a mumbled chat room. And fucking Ralph Retort tried to get in, but we wouldn't let him.
Boy, Bay. It's a conspiracy.
If you want to sit there and fucking bullshit on me, fine. But at the end of the day, everybody's fucking throwing up their triangles, and I invented that fucking shit.
Thank you for inventing the triangle.
Yeah, this,
All
That is
right,
my
what
great
I-
tweet post.
What
I
was the
brought to
name of this
everybody.
chat room?
It is the symbol that
The
made
secret
everybody
Illuminati chat room.
love Gamergate.
Well, all right. Anyway, so Rennick said something earlier to get back on to secret cabals. I'm trying to think. Fucking.
Yeah, Ralph, I see you in there.
Ralph's-
Basically, you deserve a middle finger for leaking your private messages.
Well, if he wants to
I don't agree with you, but
shoot him an
okay.
info.
I do.
No, I mean, I wouldn't leak my fucking private messages with Ralph. I don't know why he would leak somebody else's.
Yeah, I mean, doesn't confidentiality
It's a fucking
mean
Neardom?
anything anymore?
I mean, during the whole thing, we were trying to basically rip down anybody who had power in Gamergate, anybody who was important in Gamergate, busy just ripping it all down.
It's all true.
If you want to sit there and fucking be a bullshit asshole, I'm just gonna leave then.
Okay, leave. It's
You
horseshit.
can go away,
Yeah,
Dickie.
all right.
I don't really care.
Okay.
Like either like talk.
I mean, it's like,
Interesting.
yeah, so you have people in power. You know who gives them the power? The people in the community. If the people in the community don't
All right,
respect
look,
you,
let's-
you got no
yeah.
power. I mean, look at
I'm
King
with
Paul.
Mike.
He
So-
was
so
this
let's
big
go
guy.
ahead.
Hey, Zan, let me finish this.
Go ahead.
I mean, look at that. King of Paul. He was this big guy within the group. He had influence, people watching him. Once he went off the rails, people just went, fuck it. He was gone. Internet aristocrat, same thing. He went off the rails. People stopped listening to him. He was gone. It's the people who give you power.
Well,
so
well,
it's not
to be
like
fair,
it
though,
matters.
With King of Pole, there was a couple steps there I think you're missing. He went off the rails, and then people actually were willing to give him a second shot. They were actually willing to continue. There's a lot of people that were really mad at him, but a lot of other people were like, "Oh no, it's okay. You were just taken advantage of. Somebody sent you false info. It's all right." Never mind the fact that he fabricated the source to get verification from Hot Wheels. Never mind that at all. I've been trying to figure out for the last 2 months now what set him off on me. I still have no idea to this day. I have absolutely no idea what pushed him in that direction, right? Where that information came from.
Yeah, I mean, people just tend to be forgiving in general unless they like royally fuck up. It's like if you fuck up multiple times, then people's patience runs out and you're gone. But in terms of like what King of Pole with him fabricating evidence, yeah, that should have gotten him out immediately since you don't pull that shit. But unfortunately, he was,
Well, I mean,
people decided to give him a second chance, and he really spit in their face.
Yeah, the biggest problem with King of Pole is that he tried burning the place down on his way out, realized it wasn't catching fire, came back, was like with some spackle and some paint, it was like, "Hey everybody, how's it going? How's it going? I'm back." It's all, and then it's just like almost like nothing had happened. Never mind the fact that he was calling everyone faggots and everything, and cussing everybody out and shit. So I mean, I think, and too, a lot of it is, you figure a lot of people that are, like I guess you could say us YouTubers in this regard, we put ourselves out there in a very public way. We catch a lot of flack from either side. It's different levels of I guess you could say attention, not more important than the other, obviously, but yeah, I would say just levels of attention. And he says that he was working a lot and he just kind of like lost it, I guess. And I can understand that, but him coming back has exposed e-celebs. Really? Like, fucking really?
Well, you only get so many mulligans. Yes, if you're doing YouTube's or streams, that puts you in a little bit more of a public face than people who are trying to run operations or, get things done in terms of within Gamergate. But overall, it doesn't give you an excuse.
No, not at all. I think that there's certain things that, we can be forgiving of. Like I said, people are prone to make mistakes. And if they just apologize, you'd be amazed at how often it is just to say, whatever.
Yeah. I've worked with some people, and it's like, I mean, then unfortunately I can't anymore because they lied about what they did, and they never owned up to it. If they said, I wasn't able to do that, my bad, that's all you need. I mean, you'd be surprised how far an apology and just owning up to a mistake goes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, that was the thing, too. It's like there was that audio recording of me that came out, talking about King of Pole. And I still catch a lot of crap from that. And the truth of the matter, honestly, is this was recorded right after he came after me. I think, like 2 days, 3 days later. And I was pissed. I was really pissed. Just because it was, like, all baseless shit, And so I was just venting, and somebody happened to be recording it, and then they leaked it out. And so, there was that. Like, that's just the truth of it, too, is, like, I was venting, it came out, that's it, But the funny thing, too, is before it came out, when I was aware that the audio clip existed, I went to King of Pole, and I sent him a message, and I said, "Hey, man, listen, just so you know, like, because at this point him and I were cool, and I'm like, this is what happened, this is what I said, I just want to give you heads up in case this comes out. No hard feelings. Honestly, I was just venting. I do apologize for it." And he was like, "Yeah, no problem. It's fine. It's cool. It's all good." Like, he didn't care. But then when the clip came out, he starts using it against me, right?
Yeah,
Like,
Yeah.
like,
Okay.
sorry to
So
throw you under
let
the
me
bus.
let me just say something. So Bacon is completely spurging out on me. Bacon, I wasn't trying to be a dick. I was just trying to fuck with you. If you want to talk about stuff later, feel free. Don't know why you unfollowed me. Don't
Bacon's
know
been
why
spurting
you're.
out for quite a while, actually. So the
Don't
original
know
chat
why
room
you're
that we used to
unfollowing me.
The
But
original
okay.
chat room we used to shitpost about the triangle thing was called Downton Dew and Moritos, and he was the original founder of that room. And one day he flipped his shit and banned everybody in it and closed the room. And this is why he says he's the leader of the Illuminati. And nobody's like heard from the guy since.
Yeah, I mean, like, I honestly don't know. Bacon, please try to, like, calm down, dude. I'm sorry if I was being a dick. You know, just talk to me about it afterwards. But, yeah, no, I mean, I was aware of the Mountain Dew thing or whatever, but I wasn't aware that anybody ever actively tried to co-opt parts of Gamergate using a fucking IRC room. So that's ridiculous horseshit. But another thing I will say to that is Renix made a point earlier, people making private Skype groups, and this is something I actually wanted to talk about. Say that there are private Skype groups that people have, because people do have private Skype groups.
There are. There have to be. There's thousands and thousands of us.
Right. There's a lot of them. So here's the thing. Why is it suddenly, in the eyes of people like Beard and some others, why is it suddenly a bad thing if you have your own private group? That seems to be the common theme here to me. And KOP went after people for the same stuff. It was like, well, if you have a private group, you must be trying to co-opt Gamergate. It must be a big plot. Why? Because that's not. First of all, that's impossible. And let me explain why. Let's just assume for a minute that absolutely everything Nearden said was true. Assume that for a second. How would a group like that control anything besides like Gamergate.me, which would be the site that they all worked on, allegedly? How would they control anything within Gamergate? They fucking wouldn't. It's impossible. The community controls Gamergate. That's been proven time and time again. KLP was not outed by any group or any one person. He outed himself when he started sending tweets saying Gamergate is dead and you faggots need somebody to save you. That's a direct quote. IA was dogpiled by people, I think, unfairly for the lazy stream that he did, but he was the one that chose to leave and then slam the door on the way out and say essentially the same thing. Oh, it's been co-opted by SGWs. You're all dead, and you all suck, and you all failed. When that was not at all the case, and things were still developing. If anything, Gamergate is bigger now than it's ever been. It's going to continue to get bigger because it's a culture shift. It's a fundamental culture shift, and this is where these guys fucked up. But enough about that. The point is that the common theme amongst all these things is that if you are part of a private group, and you are contributing constructive things, info digs or anything else, that apparently in the eyes of some people makes you an evil, member of a secret cabal trying to co-opt Gamergate. I think that is fundamentally something that we have to decry. And for the sake of, I hope, preventing further infighting, guys, if somebody has a private group, that doesn't mean jack shit, okay? It just doesn't mean jack shit.
If you want an explanation as to why people have, Dan, if I can interrupt,
people because they have a private.
Dan, don't make me mute you. Okay. For an explanation of why people take offense to private groups and like quote unquote cabals, I believe the reason why is because people conflate the idea of the Game Journal Pros email list with people talking together on Skype or in email or privately.
They can't get in.
Huh?
Oh god.
It's butthurt. They can't get into the group.
Well, that's.
Oh my god, somebody has a secret club that won't let me in.
I wouldn't say it's just that, Satan. I do think it's because, one of the things we were fighting against and what actually got everyone up in arms was the Games Journals Pros, where you had all these journalists scheme together to dictate the narrative. So it's not that much of a leap to say it's like...
It actually is. Even in my groups, I don't agree with everybody. In fact, I've had some knockdown, drag-out fights with Thidrin about the direction that even our little group should go in. Like, for example, Thidrin is really upset about the mass media coverage of Gamergate, and I just don't give a fuck. I mean, I'll get a little bit incensed about the Al Jazeera shit, but at the end of the day, I'm more interested in getting rid of the Ben Kucheras than the Leigh Alexanders. I'm more interested in our local backyard shit, and he's more interested in the mass media and corruption in journalism in general. And we have a lot of fights about shit. Like, he really hated Stop Ben Kuchera. And we got in a big argument about that. Arguments like that are fine. And even groups going in different directions are fine. Because we're not a homogenous organization. We don't have the same goals, and we don't care about the same things. Some of our goals even directly contradict.
Yeah, and here's the thing. The reason why the Game Journal Pro's email list was bad was because these were competing media organizations colluding together to build narratives. That's the underlying reason why that was the case. In addition to the blacklisting, in addition to the censorship, in addition to the lies that they were peddling, in addition to all of that, that's the reason why the Game Journal Pro's email list was bad. It wasn't because a bunch of friends got together and decided to talk things. It was because, in secret, it was because they were doing things that potentially violate antitrust laws. And that is the reason why Game Journal Pro's email list is bad and why Skype cabals are not a problem. Because within the consumer revolt, we're all on the same page. It's not like we're like competing for different ideas. Or maybe we are even, but that's besides the point. We're not an industry trying to push narratives onto people. You know? So I think that's where people take offense to people talking in secret groups and plotting, planning.
How many websites do we have now?
Yeah,
Gamergate.me, there's the wiki, there's fucking start button, there's spells fired, there's like how many things are starting up?
Mukyo, Gophi, there's other things that were there before, like Tech Raptor, Niche Gamer, and
Games, another one you got to list.
Evil Avatar.
And every single one of these websites is actively under attack by hackers. We absolutely need groups of people who are competent to keep these sites up, and those groups do need to interoperate and talk to one another.
Well, as someone that is not that hasn't come in with a pre-existing sort of base of viewers or anything like that. I mean, I'm part of a Skype group with Androdal and stuff because we stream together a bit, like once or twice a week, just to sort of just shoot the shit, really. Nothing major, but I think I'll agree. I would have more of a problem with secret Skype groups and all this shit if there was any sort of implicit leadership element / power structure within Gamergate. And I think a lot of people are sort of associating any group that contains a person that already has an existing viewer base as suddenly being an attempt at leadership. So anyone who's like got an existing viewer base, like I don't know, like Sargon or Matt or someone like that, who's just happened to have brought in a bunch of voices anyway. I think that's the biggest issue. And I can see why people would be annoyed, especially in relation to sort of Game Journal Pros, but I think in the context of the fact that, like, I'm assuming lots of people have Skype groups as well as a group of people they might talk to on Reddit, or a bunch of people they might talk to on 8chan, or a bunch of people they might talk to on Twitter. It's upplayed. It's played to be more than it is when it involves a person who has an existing follower base. And of course, any action that someone with an existing follower base does is going to be scrutinized more because there's more people viewing it, and for some reason the more followers you have, the more relevant your opinion may be to some people. It's the same reason why Anita Sarkeesian is sort of the big SJW voice, is just because she's got a shitload of followers. No other reason. It's not that she has excellent viewpoints. It's mainly because she's just got a large audience of people that see everything she says. So I think that was the point initially of like Operation Skynet, was to get this giant following movement going so that people would end up following, like, end up potentially thousands of other users, so that you end up spreading information quicker, but also it sort of debases the value of followers that a person might have. And I think, yeah, I just think personally that the biggest issue is this sort of conflation of someone with tons of followers being an excellent voice of reason or having more of an effect over anything than someone else. Because there are going to be people that might not have a ton of followers that do a shitload of work behind the scenes, and there might be a load of people with a ton of followers that do fuck all and just sort of shitpost. I think personally that's how I view this whole situation.
Hey, we did have a spaghetti drop in the stream after all. So after Bacon took off, apparently now he's publicly backing up Arif.
What?
Yeah,
he's freaking out.
Me and him are tweeting, and he says everything Arif says is true.
Bacon, I know you were offended because you didn't get to make your point across, and Zan kind of trampled over you, so I do apologize for that. So if you'd like to come back in, you're more than welcome. But anyway, another thing about...
for being a dick.
Yeah, another thing that was interesting... Another thing that was interesting about Arif's article is his slams on Rebuild Initiative, which I'm not sure whether he was trying to imply that there was a plot to destroy it, or whether he didn't like the idea at all. Which
no, I think I can.
His stuff wasn't getting enough attention.
Yeah, I think I can explain this one. Basically, the whole thing with his, he was equating just how we were using Nachia's Shield. He was thinking that Gamergate was just using Nachia's Shield and minorities as pawns, and he used direct messages between me and an artist I was trying to get to do art for Rebuild Initiative when we were starting, and that the artist just wanted to make Nachia's Shield the main focal point of all his artwork, and I was basically explaining to him that this is a way that we're trying to outreach to developers and publishers, and Nachia's Shield wouldn't be proper for something like that, since it's a separate campaigns, and in this case...
You have to be careful with how you use race. That's kind of a charged...
Yeah. As well. So basically, even though, I mean, he only leaked the parts that made it look like I was just being racist, callous, and whatnot. I have most of the logs, since unfortunately Twitter auto-deleted some of them, but I still have a majority of them. And then, of course, he was trying to say that if Rebuild Initiative is just part of the cabal, I mean, I might as well go over just how it all started. It was originally an idea by that Cyborg developer, and then it just basically we built off, but his original idea was basically just having us suck the developers and publishers' dick, so that was kind of unacceptable, but the idea sounded good. So we took that, posted a prototype of it called Operation Rebuild on 8chan, and it got a lot of, public input from there and built upon it, and I mean, how to build up from it, and then it was also renamed the Rebuild Initiative, so that way it would have more mainstream appeal, and we're just continuing to build off that from there. And I mean, it's all just public input. We have a group that basically tries to, put together all the ideas and input we see. It's like on 8chan, Reddit, all the sites, just to figure out how to best go forward with it. But yeah, if there's, if we go forward with something and, everyone says it sucks, we're going to change it. So it's not like we're some secret group that wants to control everything or dictate the narrative. No, it's the people who do it. It's just, you have to look through everything and get what works.
People also need to sort of keep in mind that there are people who are out there only to stir the pot, to stir shit. And people who feel like they've been slighted by a particular user might try and respond by attempting to stir shit, which really doesn't help at all. So,
fun.
Yeah, but it doesn't help because we end up in this shit. I swear to God, we've had some sort of e-celeb drama
every couple of months, every couple
of months, guaranteed. Yeah,
it's getting less and less as time goes on.
It is getting less and less.
Oh, we're getting less e-celebs though. That's kind of where running out.
Yeah, that's the point. That's a
good thing.
Effect. But the problem is people are out there and they do start shit. Yeah. We end up in this whole issue again, and we end up with people saying, "Oh, but you're doing it because this and this," and it's like, no, I was just trying to defend myself because apparently he got offended, and then there's all this other shit that goes on. So people need to realize at the end of the day, everyone's on the same fucking side, and by causing shit with other people, it doesn't help the overall movement. You're taking people away from what they could be doing. And if you disagree with someone, if you don't like how they've acted, that's fine. keep it to yourself. If you've got a shitload of people, if you've got a shitload of people that, like, I don't know, say you've got 1,000 followers and you tweet out, I don't know, this guy's a shill, he's being a massive cock munch or something, then you've potentially got 1,000 people that are going to message the other person and start shit, and it's going to.
That's why because of what you just said there, that's why I'll kind of disagree with you, Renix. Like, as far as the Ralph stuff, like, if Ralph actually did send any of those, send those logs or whatever, like, that honestly doesn't really bother me. I mean, yeah, you know, people will have their own opinions, but, like, I don't have a problem with that.
If I sent you a personal message, a private message,
I mean, yeah, I might not like that, but I mean, it's,
I gotta agree with Steve.
I'm gonna say I don't necessarily have a problem with it.
Well, you know, as much as you might hate how someone's acted, deal with it directly with them, not on a public forum, because that detracts from what everyone's trying to do. Or just don't bring it up at all. As much as you may hate to not bring it up,
there's a way you can actually, Kermit, there is a way you can actually handle disputes publicly on, like, a stream such as this one.
Yeah,
but you have to do it in a way that's calm, level-headed, and you have to have a neutral party there to mediate.
We've done it before. We had who was it? We had four Sargeras.
No, that's a bad example.
That's not a great example.
But okay,
let's not go into there.
But you can have a situation where people do. Like, I'm always more than willing to just come on and sort of moderate. Androdol's always on to, like, moderate. He's more than happy to host and moderate. So there are people that are willing to just sit there and moderate. And you need to both parties need to come in and just say, you know, whatever is said on the stream, that's fine, but we don't stir the pot afterwards, and we don't stir the pot before. If you've got a public dispute, then fuck it. Say, I will talk to this person directly. If people want to watch, they can watch. They can make their own opinions, but we don't fucking spread it constantly, and it's driving me nuts how every fucking month.
It's more of a Ghazi thing to do.
Yeah, I mean, for me, like, the fact that you know, Arif went out and wrote that piece of shit.
He's been going ballistic for months, though.
Well, but think about the time, and this is what I said at the time. I was like, how much time, and I said this in Burgers and Fries, I was like, how much time and effort did you invest in making this thing that you could have invested in something constructive, like, I don't know, your site, or doing the same kind of investigation, quote unquote, that you did on these guys, instead on somebody from the other side.
Like do an investigation on Gama Sutra.
Especially since you're just going to take shit out of context. Especially since you're just going to take shit out of context and make shit up. I mean, you know, come on, if you're going to do that, at least do it about the other side. Why attack everybody from your own camp? And like, the last 2 or 3 months of Arif has been nothing but him attacking people from his own camp. He attacked Base Gamer, which was not necessarily unjustified. He attacked Steve Tom Sawyer and Robin Gething. And then he attacked literally every website made by anyone in Gamergate ever. He has a list of them, in fact, and he said all failed. Some of them haven't even fully launched yet, like Gampy, which is still a work in progress. Yet he went out and hit everybody and said, well, they're all failures. You know, like, this is the problem I have with this kind of shit is, you know, oh, I feel like I've been slighted by this group of people or that group of people or this person or that person, so I'm just going to go out and spend my time writing, you know, hit pieces and flinging shit at people, when I could have just spent that same amount of time doubling down on the other side and saying, you know what, I'm going to rise above it. These guys are assholes, and here's why, but here's how I'm going to invest my time. Instead, I'm just gonna high school shitpost the entire time. And Matt, I really wanted to ask you how you feel about this, because you've had these kind of people go at you many, many times before. I mean, especially
you're the only one who's put up with this and is still here.
You've been here before, and you managed to rise above it. So,
this is where I think my perspective comes into play. You know, unlike an Internet Aristocrat or King of Pol or a number of other people, this shit, I didn't stumble across this shit. This shit kind of happened to me, you know? Like, it's my stupid-ass video, and I admit it's a dumbass video, getting DMCA'd, it really helped kick a lot of this off. And so there's a part of me that feels responsible for it. And I care about it. I really do. I care about all this shit that's gone down. I want to see things get better. It's You know, I don't necessarily agree with everything that's been done, obviously, nor do people agree with everything I've done. That's fine. You know, it's one of those things where it's like, this is the internet. Everyone's going to have an opinion. Everyone's going to have either, you know, they're going to back their friends. They're going to back something they like more than one thing. What I don't understand about Internet Aristocrat is this is a guy who was making his entire YouTube career off of shitposting. Humorous shitposting, but shitposting nonetheless, and yet gets butthurt when people kind of give him a little bit of crap because, you know, he was fingering his girlfriend on a stream. Like, and ultimately, too, it shouldn't have mattered, right? That really shouldn't have mattered, him in that lazy afternoon stream. I think this the King of Pole Holocaust situation was actually far more juicy than Jade. You know, and so you've got all that, but all of these people were not necessarily prepared for the kind of attention that comes from something like this. You know, and you have your people that your e-celebs or your more prominent members or whatever you want to call them. A lot of people out there aren't
That's interesting.
prepared.
I can no longer send tweets. That's nice. Yes, my Twitter's about to get suspended. My account has been locked.
Yeah, there you go.
We'll worry about that later.
Talk about the gaming Illuminati. Get your account removed. It must be real. It's asking me for a phone number. Not going to happen.
Yeah, just have you got like a backup, like an email response system?
I have an email. Well,
Yeah,
actually,
just-
I don't have an email system. Hang on.
Yeah,
No,
well,
that
Zan gets
account-
that. Well, Zan gets that.
That account might be fried now, guys.
Well,
So-
that- well, Zan gets
Did you have a
Apologize.
backup account? Did you have a backup
No,
account?
no, I'll make a new account. It's a throwaway. Who the hell knows? That's fun. So talk about the gaming Illuminati. Lose your Twitter account. That's great. All right, John, take over. I'm going to mute myself and figure this shit out.
Okay. Basically, what I wanted to say was about Nidrin's article. Like, what he does is in the article, he makes this case that basically the people that are going to go after are going to attack his article and his criticisms are just going to use basically logical fallacies and emotional rhetoric to shoot him down, or just plain out make fun of him. So. I did a little digging
easy
of my
to
own.
make fun of him, though. Obviously, that's gonna happen. He posted fucking proof of the Gamergate Illuminati. That's just like a bunch of bullshit.
It's so easy
Like,
to make
of
fun of
course
him.
we're gonna laugh at him. We can't not.
Yeah, I mean, all we have to do is put triangles in the name of this stream. I mean, it's just like he set himself up for that. So, like, yeah, people are going to make fun of him, but, like, he's trying to make it out that, oh, well, basically they're making fun of me just to discredit my claims. Well, the truth of the matter is, if you actually investigate his claims and stuff, it turns out it's full of shit, because the public record shows that his narrative isn't based in reality. His sources are cherry-picked, and if you actually take the time to look at what happened, it's not as he perceives it. For instance, the whole thing about the GG board drama, switching over to /Gamergate, that I talked with the
We were all there
parties
for
involved
that.
with that. Huh?
We were all there for that.
Yeah, I talked with
Like,
the parties
all
involved.
the people who would possibly watch this stream were there.
Yeah, and I talked with Drybones and Nico on a stream, and they told me what happened and the story, and there wasn't a takeover.
Well, Nico was
Drybones-
in the alleged Illuminati secret room.
Yeah, but
Like,
that's
he was
not.
physically there.
Yeah, and also it's like there was polls taken basically to gauge whether there should be a shift from GG, and everyone voted yeah, we should shift boards. Everyone voted on which board to shift to, and that's how it went down. It was a community-based decision. That's how it played out. And this idea that it was co-opted or taken over, or that Nico was attacked and recused and forced to recuse himself, that's not accurate. It's simply put, people didn't like Nico, the way Nico was running the board, and they decided to shift over to another one. That's how it played out. And the whole narrative he puts for the Rebuild Initiative is also inaccurate. There's also a live stream where Cyborg Dev talks about the idea, and I was there, and that's where Rebuild started, and it was planned developed since then. And the whole thing about using Jade to get rid of Intern Aristocrat, there's no record of that because it didn't happen. Mainly because the way that Intern Aristocrat got his the reason the moment where Intern Aristocrat was caught with his pants down, metaphorically, he did that himself. There wasn't anything that Jay did which got Intern Aristocrat to basically go ahead and make. I just do not understand that accusation at all. And there's a lot of stuff and the parts of his narrative that are unsourced are what you got to look into, because essentially it's clear as day that he's just setting up a story of a chain of events that aren't actually the case. And I did do I have researched a lot of his claims and stuff like that to see if there's any validity to them, and there just simply isn't. So, Adrian, if you're listening, you may believe you are the man the only sane man in all this, but the truth is, you are acting very paranoid and very foolishly. And the reason why people are making fun of you and dogpiling, which I don't agree with the dogpiling part, but the reason why people are making fun of you is because you said something that was hilariously stupid. And
you're also frankly getting used for jokes by a couple of funny guys. You've got Ebola and you've got Ralph, and they're both kind of like moving you around like a little pawn on a game board, and it's really fucking funny to watch.
Mm-hmm.
I thought the whole article was just something he was just making up. I thought he was just shitposting, honestly, because when he had the whole connection with the Op Skynet, with the triangle logo and everything, I'm like, okay, now you're getting ridiculous now. I thought the whole thing was just a joke, and of course I kept reading, and I'm like, oh, so he's really being serious. Okay.
Pretty much. And also, this is just another case where someone decided to leave Gamergate, but before they left, they decided to burn the whole place down. I mean, there's a list of people who've done it already. Intern Aristocrat, King of Pole, Robin, Ebola-chan Brooke recently went to 8chan, basically accused everyone of being SJWs. It's just really ridiculous to the point of which this is getting, and it's just... It's like, this is not how we should resolve things. If I don't blame anyone for wanting to leave temporarily or even permanently, just don't burn the place down. Don't attack everyone on your way out. There's just no point in doing that. It's unconstructive, and I don't get why so many people decide, I'm going to take a step back, and as I'm taking a step back, I'm going to call all of you a bunch of, I'm going to call everyone a piece of shit. It just makes you look stupid. We basically take a step back and we just laugh, and then we move on without you. That's as simple as that. And I don't get the attack your own mentality. I don't know.
Well, the mindset is they weren't able to get what they wanted out of what's going on, so they're going to say, fuck it, I'm just going to see if I can destroy it when I'm on my way out. It's basically just them being selfish.
Yeah, but you don't flip the table when you lose in the game. That's just selfish.
Some people do.
Yeah. Isn't that kind of what helped get Boogie 2 million subscribers on YouTube? Was him flipping?
Yeah, but that was
I'm just saying, people pay attention to the actions. Like they'll look at it either as humorous or as angering, and in this case, it's angering. So.
Yeah, that is true, because nobody will talk about the actual game of Monopoly. They'll talk about when that asshole flipped the table because he was losing.
Exactly.
I think with Internet Aristocrat, though, I really honestly feel that with him it boiled down to the fact that he was nearing 100,000 subscribers on YouTube. And that's when you get that plaque, and that's when you get validated as being in the upper echelon of YouTube channels. He was getting there, and that was going to validate him completely, and I don't think he wanted that.
We have Synth Ovine joining us. Synth, how you doing?
Hey, Synth. Oh, he's muted for some reason.
Sorry, yeah, I muted my mic because I was going to roll.
Synth Ovine is the original leader of Solution 6. Is that true, Synth Ovine?
Yes, that is true. I actually started Solution 6 as a hashtag. I was very proud that we managed to.
And you're not only the CEO and founder, but you're also a client?
Yeah.
You had Solution 6 surgically implanted?
It is in my brain. That's actually the only way that I can operate on a day-to-day basis. Without Solution 6, I would not exist. So, you kill Solution 6, you kill Synthivine. But
that sounds like a challenge.
Yeah, but no, the funny thing is that it started out as shitposting between myself and Rogue, and like I can post a link or whatever like that. People can see.
Anybody can search for it. Anybody can do a Twitter search by date and find the very first mention of Solution 6. And it's obvious where it came from.
I am very proud that we managed to trend shitposting #1 overnight in America. collectively, Gamergate and like people's streams and stuff like that. I think it's fucking fantastic we managed to do that. But yeah, but that Solution 6 thing. But 1 second. I just want to finish rolling my cigarette, but I kind of just wanted to give my 2 cents on this whole thing, and it's something I've said to a lot of people about this and why all this fucking drama happens and all this bullshit and everything like that. If you've ever been around, like I've been around for a little bit, if you've been in fucking social circles out in the real world, go to college, go to bars, go to small gatherings of people that share an interest. If you don't have an inherent power structure, this is what happens in society, and this is what happens in Gamergate because it's, you know, a leaderless group of people who are, you know, gathered together to do their thing. You end up with these cliques of people that tend off because their ideas mesh with each other, but they don't necessarily, as far as like the different groups go, they don't necessarily mesh in that way, even though we all originated from the same thing. You get these factions that happen, and you get people who prefer one method of contact over another. They prefer a certain group of people over another. This is what happens in society, and everybody's looking at it in Gamergate as if it's some fucking crazy experience. It's like, why are we fighting each other? And it's like, because that's what fucking happens with people. When there's no inherent power structure, what you have is this perceived grab for status within the group as a whole, and that's pretty much exactly what we're seeing. There's this invisible power struggle that's fucking going on where people are like, oh no, these people are irrelevant, these people are irrelevant, these people hate these people hate these people, yada yada yada, and trying to fucking split it and everything. This happens everywhere, and it's something that you as a person have to recognize, that this is not special for fucking Gamergate. This is something that happens. It's fucking tribe mentality, and you have to be better than that. And it does not help when, if you participate more so in one group as opposed to another group, that you say, oh, this other group hates us because they operate on a different platform or something like that. And it doesn't matter where it's coming from. I'm not going to single anybody out. But that shit happens on all fronts, because I spend a lot of time on 8chan. I spend a lot of time on IRC. I spend a lot of time on Twitter. I talk to a lot of people on fucking Skype. And it comes from fucking everybody. Nobody's fucking innocent in this bullshit. And it's all because people think that there's something to gain personally, which is maybe, and I know Matt's in here or whatever like that, it's like maybe it's more YouTube views, maybe it's more hits to their website, maybe it's more followers on Twitter, maybe it's getting mod status on IRC or some other fucking stupid benign bullshit, and it's this fucking playground mentality where people are trying to come out on top rather than look at the greater goals. Or I even want to throw this in there because there's a lot of thirsty motherfuckers within Gamergate, is that a lot of this is because they want to get some kind of fucking e-pussy out of this bullshit, and you're all fucking sad and pathetic if that's your fucking goal.
I can think of one person, top of my head.
But yeah, yeah, I just kind of wanted to rant because it's like, this is what happens in fucking society, and Gamergate is no exception to this bullshit. Everybody, and it's like, if you start fucking pointing fingers, then you are just as fucking guilty as everybody else. And I fucking done it myself to a degree, and I shouldn't have fucking done it, and I've tried to remove myself from that. I try to be very vocal about my opinions in public on Twitter. I don't fucking hide my opinions behind the scenes. I fucking say what I want to say. If you want to squash all this bullshit, say what you have to fucking say on Twitter. If it has to be moved to another medium because Twitter sucks for conversations, then so be it. But don't fucking do this shit behind the scene and try to fucking kill people off or try to bring people down because you think that they block your goals at getting an extra $5 a fucking month, because it's not fucking worth it.
But, yeah, I was actually going to say that earlier and then we shifted. But yeah, that's just human nature. We do that kind of stuff all the time. Even if you only have 2 people in the whole world, one of them will say, you know, if they go away, I'll be the only one left, but I still need that motherfucker dead, okay? Okay. It will always be conflict all the time. But here's the thing. It is healthy for us to have disagreement and conflict in Gamergate because the, you know, quote-unquote other side always needs to have everybody in unison. That's why it's an echo chamber. But over here, because we have disagreements and we can talk to each other and hash things out, that's what makes it not an echo chamber. It is actually people having healthy discussions and calling each other out when they feel that they need to be called out.
Yeah, absolutely. There's nothing wrong with disagreeing and having discussions and stuff like that, but don't try to fucking bring people down subversively behind the scenes by getting in touch with your group of friends and stuff like that, because you're just going to get a reaction out of the other side. You know, because there are going to be groups of people that operate on different. You know, it's healthy to have disagreement and discussion, but you have to do that in the open. And unfortunately, the best platform we have for that is on Twitter, and that's like the worst for communication. You know.
Agreed.
Yeah, Twitter sucks for talking.
Yeah, it sucks. I think we heard enough where we're talking about our differences and internal fighting. Let's talk about something that actually brings us all together, and that would be the Anita ABC hit piece.
Yep.
Oh, that piece of shit.
I'll tell you what. The Ghazi censorship force is out strong today because my Twitter definitely got glassed by a report function now. I probably won't be able, like, you can still see the account, but I can't post with it at all, and it'll probably be deleted anytime now. So
did you get an email yet?
Fun shit.
Oh,
The email attached to the account is fake. That's part of the problem. That's why I can't just deglass it. I didn't want to get doxxed, so I used a fake email for the account.
Oh.
Yeah, I'll figure out a way to deglass it. Anyway, yeah, so the Anita shit piece. Like, I don't know what's more hilarious, the piece itself or the amount of censorship afterwards. Fucking, like, you're really gonna fucking start shadow banning people on YouTube, then you're gonna turn around and start glassing people's Twitter. All right, I'm still a terrorist, right? Can I still be a terrorist? I like being a terrorist that can post as opposed to a terrorist that couldn't post.
I think
but you don't fucking ban ISIS, but you ban me. Really?
All right, Zan, calm down.
Down, boy, heel.
I think the censorship aspect of it is more interesting, and this is something I've kind of been talking about here and there for a while. Is I think we kind of it would serve us to benefit if we did a better job at approaching media watchdogs. The two that come to mind are FAIR and AIM, and one of those is extremely liberal, like they won't criticize the radical left. I can't remember which. I'd have to look into it real quick, but it won't take
Media
me long.
Matters. Well, they actually.
No, I mean, well, it's between FAIR and AIM. Just to finish real quick. But then the other one is actually willing to criticize the left, and they talk about censorship and like propaganda and agendas and stuff like that. And I think it would serve us a benefit to approach them about these mainstream organizations and media outlets that they are censoring discussion on topics because it doesn't fit their agenda. I think we should maybe try something like that.
That is definitely something to do.
Yeah, I think someone on Twitter spotted as well that the police car that she's being escorted into at the beginning, it's got a sticker on the bottom right of the bumper saying it's for non-emergencies. It's basically campus cops. So the whole being escorted by police departments everywhere on high alert thing, it's all done to just drum up nonsense. But the funniest part was the tweets they selected for that stupid like driving segment where all the tweets pop up in front. They're fucking hilarious, especially the ending one that just has a big picture of Zoe Quinn and just says big fat phony on the front.
No, I preferred the Quattro and Amaro saying, "We've come here to laugh at you."
Oh yeah.
Did they even really check those tweets before they put them on the fucking program?
I thought Sargon's deconstruction was very, very, very good. Very clear.
No, they don't. It's like in the original Hackers on Steroids, one of the pictures during the scrolling is a woman saying, "We're discussing penises. Do you want to join in?"
Yeah.
I don't think they vet these things very well.
No, they don't. It's evidently clear that they believe these people because it makes a juicy story, and they don't care for the fact-checking. In fact, by not checking, they can claim plausible deniability in case they're called out on it.
Well, actually, Total Biscuit probably did the best in saying that the mainstream media hates the game industry already because they've already gone after them in the past in terms of like the 1990s with the whole drive of sense of violent games.
Or back in the 80s with the Satanic Panic.
Yeah, I mean, this could be the next one. It's like, rock and roll or go back there. I mean, the interview was just one-sided, and there wasn't Anita just brings up all the issues she perceives. She doesn't come up with any solutions. It's like, what, more women? Then what's that going to solve? It's like all you're doing is, it's not even like affirmative action, where it's like where, at least in that sense, there is actual biases which are trying to overcome using that quota. In this case, women have no problem getting into the industry. It's just no one wants to, and what they're doing right now is making it so that less women want to go in, not more.
It was just embarrassing because it was really sloppy reporting, and Sargon pointed it out at the beginning when they were talking about her threats, the fake bomb threat at the university or the fake shooting threat at the university. That wasn't even anything to do with Gamergate. That happened before Gamergate happened. So they're somehow linking events that existed before Gamergate existed.
Are you talking about the University of Utah?
I think so, yeah. And
I believe Gamergate was happening when that occurred, and that's how...
It might have been an earlier one.
UVA. You're thinking of university. You're thinking of the UVA thing, which I guess is University of Virginia, if I recall.
Virginia.
The UVA rape casing that turned out to be completely fake, but they blamed Gamergate for it at one point. And actually, the hilarious part is that it was verified fake and was proven fake, and was actually forced the Rolling Stone. The mainstream media forced the Rolling Stone to apologize over it because of how bad it was. Like the fact that MSM had to backtrack on it. And yet, this all happened months before Gamergate, and yet Anita Sarkeesian and company have been referencing that as examples of why they're justified in slamming Gamergate, which is ironic because the entire thing was fucking fake. You fucking idiots.
They are banking on people having short-term memories and not remembering that that the data they used was shoddy as shit.
Well,
and that Rolling Stone was actually forced to retract the story.
Well, that's the worst part about this. Okay, so this was a Gamergate story saying Gamergate are all to do with this. They post loads of stuff from Twitter, but if you type Gamergate into the search bar, all you get are posts from pro-Gamergate people constantly retweeting links to valid information, either done by someone like Chris von Sesselve, who has done independent statistical analysis, to evidence that actually there has been collusion. And it's like they've gone out of their way to find evidence that twists the narrative, and the only people that they actually spoke to were Anita and Brianna. And then I don't know whether this is just American news in general, but it seems to me they then interviewed that guy at the end from that 8-bit shop that he runs, and they interview him for a grand total of about 10 seconds, and they just collect this nifty little soundbite that then presumably they're then going to play throughout the rest of the day. And a lot of the time they just take these sound bites from multiple different interviews that have no connection whatsoever, and then they weave this narrative by playing different sound bites at different points in their story. And it drives me nuts.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if that interview was like 10 minutes and then they just cut it down to that nice soundbite that drives the narrative.
Because they've written a script.
Yeah, it would be like with Sargon and the BBC. I mean, in their little piece, Sargon just had like I think 30 seconds, but then in the full recording, he was being
like
asked questions for like
15 minutes. Yeah, it's really long.
But yeah, this isn't the first time that this has been done where they try to equate the University of Virginia fake rape. I mean, because you have to remember, with the Al Jazeera hit piece, the woman at the end actually mentioned that as well. So this isn't the first time they've done it.
Yeah, I really was really happy to see at the end he was like, people like Anita are definitely overplaying it, and they're definitely sort of playing the victim card to an extent, and it's definitely being blown way out of proportion. That was really nice to see, and the fact that they aired that was great.
I mean, I think it's because we would have rioted in the streets if it was just
We are now. Let's be honest, we are now.
Yeah, I mean,
it's got almost 100 in our chat right now.
Yeah, I see what's going on in the chat. I really don't want to talk about it on stream, but basically,
I'm gonna fucking ignore it.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna say. And we actually do have to wrap up the stream, and there's also going to be a special segment in a moment.
Well, just for people in the chat, I mean, this is the shit that we literally just talked through this shit. We just spent about like 25 minutes talking about why this is bad. So it would be great if people could sort of
shut the fuck up and stop being a bunch of dipshits.
If-
but
if-
yeah, I mean,
Calm
hey,
down,
you know,
Zan. That's what's
well,
part of
if-
what's causing this shit.
you're gonna-
you know what? People are gonna do what they want. You know.
Well, you know, if you're gonna do what you want,
Don't need to
You can do what you
antagonize
want.
them either, Zan. That's
All
why
right. I think we should move into closing thoughts.
Hey,
We're a little bit off topic, so let's wrap it up, y'all.
Just
Yeah,
take
okay.
it somewhere private. That's all. Just take it somewhere private and discuss
Yeah.
it there. Don't
Well
discuss
said.
it on an open forum.
Right.
But it's more fun to do it in public.
Yeah,
Oh,
but
it
then
can be.
that's just
Yeah, that's something only Satan would
Because then
say.
we get to all posture and we can shake our asses a little bit.
No,
Fuck
if you
you,
wanna
mate.
if you wanna do it, this stream is not the place. If you wanna have another one
not at
after
all.
this, somebody
Yeah.
else host it, and we can fucking bullshit about it. So.
But
Oh,
yeah,
no,
you know, I
go
wouldn't-
stream and charge admission.
I'm
Keep it to
personally
one-
not going to do another one of these on the subject of infighting because
Yeah, me either. It's
It's
dealt with. Honestly,
It's
it's dealt
really
with.
juicy though. Oh, this
It
is so
is.
much fun.
Oh
We've got
my
two
God.
groups of people.
Say,
One of
try,
them's in
stop
chat,
trying
one
to
of
make
them's
me
in the
commit
stream,
sins.
and then we've got a third group of people freaking out on Twitter. This is great.
No, fucking Dark Lord.
We should do this every
More
week.
sins.
Oh, let's let John
Right.
get
It'd be
it.
like pro wrestling,
All
except
right,
with
all
nerds
right.
on the internet.
Sinner.
all right, I'm going to give my closing thoughts. One, don't release confidential information. That goes for everyone. Whether you're, it's like that is something you don't do. If you have a private conversation with somebody, that is between you and those people. If you want to release that information, ask them before releasing it. Don't pull shady nonsense by taking what someone said, especially if it's out of context, and just revealing it to the world when it's supposed to be between you and that other person. I always maintain confidentiality, and I expect other people to do so as well. And I'm really disappointed in a lot of people lately, seeing them release private things and even bragging about it. That's really never. The only time you should do that is if there's a really you're not William Usher is what I'm trying to say, and don't pretend you are. And also, in addition, if you have problems with people, talk to them, communicate. Like Nidrian had problems with me evidently because I was listed as one of the Triangle cultists for some reason. But I've talked with Nidrian before this, and he could have just asked me questions about what was going on here, and I could have explained it to him. In fact, I did actually explain what was going on with the Rebuild Initiative, which just makes it funnier because not only is he peddling a narrative and lies, essentially, but he's also enacting revisionist history at that point. So that's all I have to really say about this infighting nonsense, and I'm gonna give the floor to Matt.
For final comments?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, fucking same thing John said, really. You know, look, we all say shit whether it's in jest or it's serious. Some stuff said behind closed doors is just outright venting. It doesn't need to see the light of day. All it does is cause confusion, and it distracts from everything that's going on, and the opposition, the gamer gazis out there, are able to use that information against you. If you're looking to, you know, the best thing to do is just fucking ignore people. It really is the best thing to do, which is hard sometimes because, as we discussed earlier, you know, if one person has 1,000 Twitter followers and they tweet out something, then, you know, those people might instantly react and jump on that person without having all the information. We've seen it happen. It's happened to me multiple times now, usually at the actions of one lunatic motherfucker. You know, and it's annoying. It does nothing but damage what we're trying to work for. And if that's what your entire thing's about, then, you know, maybe Gamergate isn't for you in the long run. If that's all you want to do. That's my thoughts on it. It's like, if you can't be constructive or be creative, why the fuck are you here? If you're just causing shit, you're doing nothing but hurting everybody. That's the way I see it. Otherwise, keep fighting, keep talking about it, and keep doing your shit.
Okay.
All right. Anyone else want to have closing comments, or
I'll make a
should I
closing
move on?
comment.
Oh, sure. Go ahead.
For my closing comment, I will say that if you get trolled, you deserve to be trolled. And that's all I really have to say.
Fair enough.
So if you get trolled by Ebola, you get trolled by Ralph, you get trolled by me, I don't care who you are. You fucking deserve it.
And actually, I would agree with that. I mean, trolling's just trolling. And
Yeah,
if you
I
get trolled by
understand.
dry bones, you kind of deserve that too. Just saying.
Yeah. I mean, like I say, if you get that kind of stuff, whether you're an E-celeb or you want to be or whatever, just let it roll right off of you, honestly. Like, whatever level you're at, just let it roll off of you. Don't try to take it all serious. Even if they are being serious, don't take it serious. I find that people get way more pissed off when you don't take it serious because you don't react to it. So you'll just fuck with them more by, just like whatever, just act like they don't even matter because they don't.
All right.
I guess to give my closing comments, I agree with Satan. If you get trolled, you deserve it. If you have shit to talk about people, firstly, realize that people are going to have their own groups and they are going to talk shit about other people. That's just fucking human nature. But if you're going to do it, fucking grow a set of balls, do it out in public, and fucking question everything if there's no evidence or no proof. If somebody says, hey, yeah, but have I lied yet? That doesn't mean that you fucking trust them. Question fucking everything unless there is proof to prove what they are fucking saying.
I would agree. Yeah.
Do not take people's word for it.
Yeah, you verify everything first.
And that's about it, I have to say.
Okay. All right. We're going to. All right. I think that wraps everything up. If we're going to have a special segment. Hold on a minute.
Echo.
I'm getting an echo.
Right.
Well, they're starting to come in already.
Well, the gaming Illuminati loves all of you. No hard feelings.
Yeah.
Everybody in the gaming Illuminati wants you to know that they love you and that they're looking out for your best interest.
Oh my god.
Peace through power.
Well, I'm gonna go. I have to drop out anyway, so I've got shit to do this evening.
I'm gonna fuck off. So.
All right. Have a good day, guys.
I appreciate you being on, Matt. Really appreciate it. And you as
Matt,
always,
it was a pleasure.
Kermit.
Yeah, cool. Thanks for having me on. Take care, guys.
Yeah, Matt, feel free to come by anytime, man.
All right.
Hope you heard it.
Yeah, I'm glad that you got that settled. You, Zan, you and Matt, even though you disagree, work it out like
I don't disagree with him anymore. Like, I mean, we worked it out. Like, I didn't really have. When I thought about it after the fact, I was like, I get what he's saying. So as soon as he clarified it, I was like, yeah, I pretty much.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
we could have just.
I could have spurred out. Yeah, I could have gone full KOP on that one.
You kind of did a bit, but you're nice enough to, smart enough to pull back.
Yeah. All right. So the last part of the stream.
One of the reasons I did, one of the purposes for my streams continuing on, like I said this a while ago, is I wanted to push new media websites because part of what we're doing is building an alternative. And quite recently I was impressed by efforts of certain people in Gamergate who have gotten together to build an adult gaming website. And I have on with me Shrekbane and Logic, who are the guys behind the project. And I have them on to ask them a few questions. So what's up, how are you doing, guys?
We're doing fine, man. Hey, what's up? We just kind of like, a little tired from working in the background, but yeah, we decided to, spare some time from doing research to come talk to you guys. So how y'all doing?
Doing good.
Okay.
It's good to have you.
Thank you, Matt.
All right. So should we get right into the questions?
Yeah, just get it right into the questions.
Okay. So can you describe the website in a sentence?
The website in a sentence essentially is this. LewdGamer.com is essentially a site that will be covering adult material and lewd material that's in video games. We're essentially anti-Polygon. Just think about it like
awesome. Where can I donate money?
Yeah. I agree. That sounds like the best thing ever.
So
Gamer
does that a little bit, but they don't really focus on adult games.
Exactly. That's what we are all about. We focus. That is our main focus. We're going to be focusing on, and we will be covering everything. Of course, we can't cover certain things because of legality issues. You guys should all know that. But we'll be covering as most as we can, and that includes all fetishes. Talk about everything. Yeah.
So
from
like
vanilla.
Some dick girls in there.
Yeah.
Some lesbians.
So.
What if you want to be the little girl? You gonna do Otome games?
Oh shit, we're going to be covering, the reason why I had even started the idea of the website came the inception is because I just started to see, it happened, the idea came into my head because of Hot Wheels getting kicked off of Patreon. I think it sucks that there is absolutely no places for an adult gaming or any type of stuff to exist. Nobody's ever represented in any other sites because they just simply won't cover it. So that's why lewdgamer.com was created. I essentially, as this editor-in-chief, went to Shrek and said the idea, and then all of a sudden he was like, "Yeah, let's fucking do it." Right, Shrek?
Well, there's nothing, to be gained from, just talking about shit or complaining. The only way we can, move ahead is by actually, getting down and doing something. And as such, we looked at the project, made a quick analysis of how much it would cost, did a quick, Indiegogo crowdfunding thing that was finished in 30 minutes, and then...
Well, how much did you make from the Indiegogo?
$32 US.
Yeah, the site is out. You can go, guys can go right now, lewdgamer.com. The site is, of course, we need to put content there and everything else like that. We have a little bit of test content at the site, but the site is operational and up already and working. And we got it done in the course.
Technical aspect, we are just the software we're using technically is intended to create sort of a Metacritic-like site that aggregates content from multiple sources and allows for user reviews as well as critic reviews with integration of YouTube videos. But we decided to turn large parts of that off because we don't want to feature, the regular main IGN content or Giant Bomb stuff, but instead want to focus on the lewd subject matter, so to speak.
Exactly. So before we even continue, what are the other questions you guys plan?
All right. What is the what was it? I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. What is your overall business model for the website? Like, how are you planning on covering server costs, paying staff, etc.?
Well, right now, thanks to we have a lot of generous volunteers at the moment. We haven't gotten to that point in terms of payment and everything else like that. Through Shrek has some connections, but we're still discovering.
Maybe I can elaborate a little bit on that.
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead, man.
Our current running costs are at exactly $3 a month. That includes Cloudflare protection, domain whois protection, as well as a couple of other security measures, and a server that is capable and quite sufficient until we reach a number of reviews that is larger, or actually a number of games that is larger than 21 billion.
Yep. Sounds good.
That being said, obviously compensation of staff is something that we will have to look into. We are already being sent review copies. As such, we have things that we can focus on, so we don't have to have large expenses for games. That being said, I've been contacting multiple advertisers, and the nice thing is, since we are working in the adult sector, we have basically the free pick of otherwise taboo ads and material.
Okay. All right. Next question would be, who do you have currently working with you, helping with the website? Can you disclose that? Can you divulge into or what is your staff like at the moment?
We'll state right. Okay, I'll be stuff. I got this one. We'll state right now that there is some staff that have chosen to stay quiet and anonymous, but there are some open staffs. I will tell you guys right now that we are much more diverse than any of the websites that we are currently going against. Paul, yeah, honestly, 3/4 of our staff is female at this moment. Two black guys and a lot of gay and bisexuals. All kinds of types of people with different types of fetishes will be writing material. We already have reviews being done. And speaking of reviews, how a review is going to be handled on the site is extremely different. Okay, so
that being said, we do have staff with background in journalism and even degrees in journalism. That's going to be working on more of the investigative side of things.
Okay, that sounds very good. But what I was asking, the question was more about the site. Like, how many people do you have, estimated?
Right now, I think we're at 8 writers, and 2 people on the technical staff. We have 2 editors.
Okay. What qualifications do the people have? Do your writers have in particular?
Well, obviously, we are, starting out from the ground, so, we're not going to immediately get the Pulitzer Prize winners. That being said, we have people with a background in media journalism. We have people with journalistic degrees, background in investigative journalism. We have people that are either former game developers or, have some background in game development as well. And of course, then there's a few who are just, real adult game enthusiasts who, want to go writing from the enthusiast side of things.
All right. Question from the chat being, do you have an ethics policy?
Oh, that
we are actually, yes, we are currently crafting that. We're taking specific care to really make sure that it fulfills all the necessary checkboxes, and we will be releasing that within a couple of days. Keep in mind, we basically pulled this whole thing out of the ground within 48 hours from its original conception, and such, not everything is nailed down yet, but we are, trying to do everything as transparent as possible, and if anybody has any questions, we are more than happy to answer them.
All right. Another question I have on that note, how stringent will you be enforcing the ethics policy in regards to it? Like, it's one thing to have it, but it's another thing to put into practice.
I answer this one. Well, of course, that's the reason why we have an ethics policy. Again, unlike our opposition, who even have ethics policies, we'll be upholding to those ethics. Watchdogs watch all over us. If you see anything even remotely wrong, we will make sure that it's addressed and fixed.
Mm-hmm.
So, with that being said,
I think he's specifically asking about the consequences intended.
About the consequences? That depends.
As far as that goes, that obviously depends on the infraction. That is something that is kind of at the discretion of the boss right here.
We don't really have many adult Western games, so nepotism probably isn't going to be much of a problem, right?
Well, actually, you would find it surprising. There's actually a huge amount of surprisingly high-quality adult material out there that just does not get any showcasing, any spotlight. This is why we have had so tremendous positive response from adult game developers. They've been basically saying, guys, we've been waiting for something like this for years, but it's think about it. If you have a game with significant adult content, getting actually coverage in the mainstream press is near impossible. If it's 18 plus, forget it.
Damn. Interesting. Do you have any reviews that are going to be forthcoming soon that you're excited
actually,
about?
yes. Let me just make sure I have the right one up here. We actually just got one in that's currently in editing. Let me have a look. It's called Dramatical Murder Reconnect, which is going to be one of our first more in-depth reviews that's going to be going out soon.
Interesting.
A person asked in the chat, so child CP is forbidden. Of course, we have to uphold by the legal standards of the United States. Now, that doesn't mean, of course, that there are definitely anime material that are deformed or super deformed. When it comes to those type of games that we will approach them, we will have, like usually, we'll have a serious discussion amongst the staff of how we handle it, and essentially the end decision will be my decision as editor-in-chief. So, that'll be taken care of. In terms of how the reviews will be handled, this is why it's important for people to go on the site right now and sign in. Users will be the ones to be making the aggregate review score. All right, will be the users who are reviewing the score of the games. However, for the reviewers reviewing the content, they will be doing it semi-professionally. This is a review website, and I will uphold those standards. In terms of how they will be reviewed, games, there's tons of adult games that have tons and tons of content, tons of animations and everything else, but the gameplay is subpar. But we also understand that there are people who definitely just come in for the H. When we do our reviews, we'll be setting up in categories: story, gameplay, sound, the fetish level, but if it's a nice sweet vanilla or is it extreme. All those things will be addressed in the review. Our review from the professional side will not be scored. It will just be an objective opinion about the game itself. And I'm hoping that by us finally becoming a source for Western developers and even Japanese developers to take seriously, we can also elevate the quality of adult gaming in general and take it to the next step. This is my big picture plan that I have imagined in my head at the moment. As the standard keeps rising and rising, we get more things to FAP to in the end.
Now, I would like to address something because obviously I couldn't help but listen to the stream, and seeing as I'm ever actually shown on multiple screenshots, member of multiple Skype cabals, I would like to make an official statement here. I think I was in like 5 of these screenshots. Yes, in regards to the things that you may have heard, yes, we do have a secret internal mailing list called Game Porno Pros. We will, however,
Game Porno Pros, people, and supposedly we have an interesting person, I guess, a leaker in our midst already, who will be leaking our supposed secret cabal every month. So you will see that floating around on Twitter.
What if you investigate my secret cabal? Will it still be leaked?
Well, it depends. Do you have adult material that we can investigate then?
I may very well.
Ooh, now we're talking.
So
I
I'll
love
be
this.
keeping my eyes on you guys, because you could be the next potential Illuminati leakers.
The Illuminati.
The Illuminati. I like that. So that's what, like I said, the site is still in its inception, but we, considering that we are a unique site, there is no sites, at least in the U.S. side of things, that will be upholding our levels of semi-professional, professional views and everything else. There's no sites like us. We're a brand. We are a complete niche, a unique market, and I can't wait. We're going to have tons of fun with this, and at the same time, maybe raise the quality of a lot of adult games that are out there. Oh yeah,
That's
we'll
cool
also
as
be.
hell. I can't wait to spend more money on porn. I hope that you can help me do that.
I think we'll definitely be able to do that. And in that regard, since we're on the topic, if you should be interested in building a new media site for whatever purpose, I will be more than happy to give you the pointers on how to do that relatively quickly. It is not as difficult as you might think, and we can only do something if we actually replace the media that we're talking about.
Okay. On the note about you being a unique site, is that to imply that you will not have competition?
Well, I mean, I'm all for hopefully this will spark ideas. So far, we don't have any, but we will definitely. The competition that we have is there are Japanese sites that do promote DL site content. We will also be covering that. We have future plans of even creating, when we go down the line of creating a group of people who are specifically meant to translate some of the harder to navigate Japanese games. So when we provide our review, we can also provide a link to the forums of walkthroughs in case people just don't want to even hassle through Moonspeak and Kanji. So we have a whole bunch of ideas.
If you are a straight white guy and you want to write adult video game reviews, feel free to contact us, because we really, we need to even out the quota,
Yeah. I know, really.
We have one token straight white guy, and he's disabled.
We need white people. Please, we need you. So it was great. We won't just be covering adult content. We'll be covering also lewd material. Well, Bayonetta 2 and Bayonetta definitely count. It's not necessarily have to be completely adult. However, in terms of, let's say, for a Mass Effect series, for example, let's say a new Mass Effect game comes out, we won't be covering that. However, we will, considering the relationships that you have in Mass Effect, the sex that you can have in Mass Effect, you can fuck blue chicks and shit like that, we will have statements and editorials directed towards the romantic nature of the game. Was it authentic? Did it feel good? Did you feel like fucking the blue chick? We'll take that seriously in consideration. While we won't put the game in the database, we will have mentions of certain games in terms of their romantic level. So we will.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I really want this to happen now.
How will the user reviews be handled? How is the scoring system? I should say. Like, is it numerical based, or is it just like positive, negative? I like this, I didn't like this, and here's why.
Well, so far we got a
moment. Hold on. Let me answer that one. At the moment, the system, due to the way that the system is set up, currently there's two sets of scores. There's the critic score and there's the user score. That being said, we will be weighing those equally, as opposed to how it's been done before. I mean, it's not going to be that just because you're working on the site that your opinion is in any way, shape, or form more important than the average user. Is basically the logic behind that. That being said, we might be eventually moving away from the idea of having critics give scores entirely and just move to user scores exclusively. It's just that this is the way that the site is to be built right now, and any kind of changes obviously require some development time to implement them.
All right.
So right now everybody's working in on volunteer schedule. Again, I want to thank a lot of the people who are making this site work. And it will work. There's almost no reason for it not to. We just got to make sure that we do the right things and not to be like our unethical opposition that we're going against. So it's that simple.
Got it.
And I'm very excited for the project.
Do you have an official Twitter?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, the official Twitter.
I got that from their website.
Yeah, the official Twitter. You can go to the website. There's a social media bar on the very, very bottom. But for the people who are listening, the official Twitter is @LewdGameReviews on Twitter. The Lewd Gamer is the sub. I will start. You'll hear any news that we have. There's an Ask FM if you want to ask specific questions and anything else like that. I will also reveal who I actually am, because I do have another alternative Twitter. I am Logical Minority on Twitter as well. So if you want to follow me on there too, go ahead. I don't care. But I am a logical black guy. So I'm not going to be like, let's see. I'm not going to be like GameSpot's CEO and hide behind the screen without anybody knowing who I am.
Yeah, I'm definitely giving you a follow right now.
I'm already following you.
Lude, what is
I was already following
at Shrekbane? Okay, good. I just want to make sure I get the. I wish I had already been. Wow, I wasn't following Shrekbane. Oh my god, I'm so sorry. I feel awful now. Okay, well I follow both y'all.
Yeah.
So
that's what's going on. Do you guys have not just specific questions from John Kelly? Do you guys, anybody else has questions?
Please, can you have a lot of Yuri games?
Oh, of course.
Yes.
We have a lesbian writer.
We actually
Also, my second
Yes.
question would be, how's your genre or your tag cloud system going to work? Is it going to be anything like eHentai or any of that stuff where you can just put in a specific thing and it'll pull up
Yes,
a
let me
specific
answer
genre,
that.
or you can also put in a creator and it'll pull it up by creator name as well?
I can actually answer that. Yes, there is a tag cloud system in the works. The different games will be able to be tagged, and you can search for individual tags or combinations of them. That being said, we haven't fully explored the depth of the configuration and how to customize that system yet to completely, fully, and perfectly integrate with the site. So until that is running perfectly, that may take a little bit. So, bear with us. We're doing this with a shoestring budget and clearly with a lot of volunteer work, but I do think this has quite some potential.
And if you have anybody in chat, anybody who in the Google Hangout, if you have any recommendations, if you know any developers who will be covering indie titles as well, I specifically made this with the intent of giving the indie scene, the adult side, a place to speak on finally. So if you do know anybody, send me their whatever in contacts. I'll contact them myself, and we'll look to see if we can get the review started and everything else like that.
Actually, you can already look forward to interview with the creators of Coming Out on Top, a gay dating simulator that was recently rejected from Steam for being too explicit.
Despite the fact that they already had explicit material like Bone Town being greenlighted through. So yeah.
They even have a nude search label.
Yeah, so it's kind of kind of stupid.
You can search for Steam games with nudity.
Yeah.
That leads to another question I have actually. What do you consider a quote-unquote lewd game?
What do you consider a quote-unquote lewd game? Again, that's going to always be something that the staff will talk about. Quote-unquote a lewd game, I wouldn't consider, let's give you an example. I wouldn't consider Street Fighter specifically targeting the lewd market. However, I would consider Dead or Alive 5 final round, last round, to be a lewd game. Yeah. There you go.
Also, it's not limited to the game itself. To give you an example, you could totally, for example, expect to read an op-ed about the various mods that allow you to customize Skyrim in a way that it becomes lewd, right?
Yeah.
Or you could talk. I could, for example, see an article about a specific set of lewd DLC outfits for a specific game, even if the game itself isn't particularly lewd. So
I mean, there's
the context.
Fallout is a great example in terms of they have tons of stuff. We will. It depends on context. We'll also give news. There's also some games out there who are just constantly updating themselves and everything else like that. And we will make sure that we will bring out the news. We won't necessarily make a review because it's still updating and the final product hasn't been made. However, we can make a statement on the updated material. We're still brainstorming the way we're going to handle things, but for right now, I think our idea is just nice and solid. We just got to get everything off the ground, and to get everything off the ground is also support from all you guys, and spread the news and tell your friends who aren't even in GG. This isn't just a GG type of project. This is for the entire adult industry to get some more recognition amongst the U.S. side of things.
I see a question from the chat. Could you do articles sometimes on game development relating to the genres you cover? Yes. We actually hope that we will be working closely with various game developers, releasing updates on their games and possibly giving interviews into their current state. That is definitely on the horizon. We're reaching out, and so far we've been getting a really, really positive response to all that kind of stuff. So it's looking good.
You have an Oculus Rift.
Oh, actually, Shrekbait, answer this question, baby. Go ahead.
well, let me put it like that. I currently am getting the new development kit. I also have the old one. I also have the Vuzix VR 1400 VR glasses and another older set of video glasses.
Excellent.
Sounds good. All right.
Another question from Chad is: will you be covering games that have nude patches on it, even if it's just what games have nude patches?
Well, once again, we wouldn't be talking specifically about the game itself so much as we would be discussing, the patches or the specific lewd material in relation to them. I mean, for example, I don't personally think that a simple nude patch by itself would warrant an entire article. However, I could see an article being done about multiple types of nude patches in multiple games and reviewing that kind of thing. Talking about that as a kind of combination article, because just for a nude patch, I don't think there's not too much you can write about it.
All right. Final question being, this is a criticism from somebody that I talked to about this idea when I floated to them. How would you respond to the idea that basically porn games don't need reviews because all they are is to seek pleasure from? There's not really much to analyze with it.
Oh, I completely disagree from the sheer standpoint that how do you know exactly what you're getting? Okay, for example, you know how wide the varieties of fetishes are. Okay, a foot fetishist might rate a game differently than somebody who's into BDSM. Some people get completely turned off by that. Other people dislike a specific style of game, right? It's a great way also to discover new material that you're previously not aware of. Say you're a fan of visual novels or dating simulators, right? This gives you an opportunity to, explore a new market and at the same time get an idea of what the real gems in there are, because there is quality there. I mean, for example, it's not at the point where there's even lewd MMOs. There's things Scarlet Blade, for example, which is something we will be covering soon as well. Right? We're talking about a game with a development budget that is far beyond anything we've seen for a cheap-ass Flash game. That being said, there's a lot of room in between of things that we can cover. And I don't think the whole thing it's just about sex is fair, because there are games with excellent gameplay. And just to bring it back, that the game coming out of Top has a very well written storyline that's actually quite engaging. So I think it's not fair to just basically exclude games from critical review just because they have sexual subject matter.
Exactly. There's games that I know right now that I will be reviewing myself have absolutely excellent old school 90s gameplay, tough platforming and everything else like that, and it has sex in it. Right? Of course, I think personally, a lot of adult developers don't think about the gameplay aspect first, and that's also why they don't get taken as seriously. With us being able to bump up the gameplay aspect, you bump up the enjoyment of the game, you bump up the sales, and sales also means more content releases and more high quality things that comes out. So again, this is the overall idea of the project. Is to help improve the adult industry in general and get it some proper recognition that it needs, as well as bump up the standards. I can't wait for the next. Hopefully, we can inspire a developer to group up with a team of developers to make one of the most excellent runner rape games. Right? We're not going to know that unless we try by covering games seriously, and of course have fun along the way. So.
All right, sounds good. Does anyone in the chat or anyone on the panel have any more questions?
Will you be encouraging already existing developers to make lewd games?
Say that again, please. I didn't hear you.
No, that was just a joke.
Oh, okay.
Well, actually, I hope so. I do hope that, because there are developers who have shied away from the subject matter, not because they want to, but simply because they don't really think that is such a lucrative market that gets equal representation. And I think once we can get a decent curation system going, I mean, on that note, you'll also be finding a Steam community and hopefully a Steam curator for at least the lewd material that is allowed on Steam. This is a promising thing. I mean, there's a lot of money to be made there. Just from my personal background in game development, I can already tell you that there are entire Android, for example, on Android, entire app stores devoted exclusively to adult material that are even financing indie developers to create adult content for their platforms.
Yeah, that would be good.
So let's bring in a new golden age of porn.
Yeah.
Sounds awesome. You guys,
Also, I'm just tired of fucking sites. Like for example, Polygon with the. I mean, honestly, they can have their own fucking personal opinions, but honestly, tits and ass getting in the way of making a proper general review and then making that, being the reason why you scored 3 points less is ridiculous. And that's another reason why I decided to make this site and get it working. So.
Is just a question. I might sound a little bit stupid. Site up already? Yes or no? And if so, can you give links?
Yeah, it's already up.
Site's already up.
It doesn't have any content yet.
I'm telling. Yeah, it doesn't have. It has some content. But we don't have any reviews or anything else. But you can sign up. The forums will be up when they're up, and everything else like that. And as a community, as the lewd master race that we are, contribute, send recommendations to the Twitter handle or at lewd game reviews at Twitter, or just you want to email, whatever, and help build the site into something amazing. All right, this is not for right now. Despite the fact that there is definitely a staff working, this is you guys help us build too. Spread us around, talk about us, and
tell us what you want to see.
And tell us what you want to see. And I'm telling you, I'm dead serious about covering everything. We're covering everything. So
I'm curious about the images that you show or video from the game. Will you be showing it all, or will you try to keep it a little tame for the site?
To explain that part, well, I recently discovered there is now an option to 18 plus YouTube content, so hopefully we will be able to take advantage of that and show full frontal nudity.
All right, that sounds good.
This is a hold bar situation. We'll be showing all the nudity and everything else like that. We're not going to be censoring anything from the beginning of the site. We will have a splash page open, but that will be added soon. But the part of the experience is to actually be comfortable coming into a porn site. So that's the whole.
Okay, 2 final questions. Will you be writing about Full Metal FAC? I don't know if that's an actual question or not. Is that a game?
I'm not. Are you curious with that?
Where's the question?
Full Metal FAC. I thought it was a.
No, I don't think that's a real thing.
Okay, someone's just trolling me.
Anyway. It might hold on, because as I know how some of these adult games are named, it might well be a real game. If it is, please send us a tweet, and we will. Ideally, if you have a link to it, that would be even more helpful, and we will look into it and possibly review it in the future.
I guess my question would be, do you guys plan on producing perhaps some of your own lewd games in maybe browser game form, as a site brand type game? I would appreciate that.
Long answer, yes. Short answer, also yes. And a quick, I gotta get the doorbell.
Yeah, I'll answer. Essentially, what will be happening is we'll hopefully down the line when we are making enough currency, we will hopefully be able to make a development team so we can actually make our own games to put out. However, we won't be reviewing them or anything else like that, and they will be free, so you won't have to worry about paying.
Nice.
Okay. Do have one more question. Actually, one last question. This came from the chat. Tits or ass?
Oh man, it's all about both, dude. What are you talking about?
Why are you discriminating against dick?
Yeah.
I'm a tits man myself. I prefer the tits. I mean,
I'm a body proportions man. Like I can appreciate a nice slender body as long as all the proportions are there. As long as everything makes sense, and I'm game, right? I don't discriminate tits and ass like that.
I like tits of all shapes and sizes. I like every type of tits that comes on this earth.
You have to understand, Satan. All a butt is our boobs.
Tits on your ass, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm an artist.
If a butt had nipples, I'd be more all over it. But I mean, then it would kind of suck to sit on it, I guess.
Well, you could also just move around and arouse yourself. Just move around in your seat. That would be neat.
Do that
with tits too.
Mhm. Yeah, but all tits are reverse butts. What's up?
Chat says that Full Metal FAC is a real game. I believe they are referring to Heavy Metal FAC, which is a really old game. It came out in 2000. Okay, it's really old, but that actually leads to another good question: will you be covering older games or only newer games?
Yes, we'll be covering older games. I mean, like I said, this is all about recognition, right? There's definitely some games that will be, are up and coming that we'll be focused on, but we got to build content, and building content will be us reviewing older games. So again, if you have some excellent shit that you guys have played, platformer, runner rapes, visual novels that you guys just think are absolutely amazing, send it to us, and we'll check it out.
All right, sounds awesome.
Answer one last question. Why am I wearing the mask? Nobody cared who I was before I put on the mask.
All right.
Oh God, it's fake! No, the triangles were real, Mason.
Actually, let's be honest. He's actually the lewd Chator. Okay.
I don't know his Bane pose.
He's a big guy.
Yeah, he's a big guy. He would be the Luchador is one of our reviewers, so he's his own entity. So.
Okay. I was gonna wrap up the show after this segment, but apparently Dry Bones has something important to say, and I figured.
So Dry Bones is gonna shit on some people, so I'm gonna duck.
Yeah,
I don't want to be associated with this, just in case that like really is the real Ebola Chan in chat.
Well, I want to say thank you guys for having me and Shrek.
Oh, we appreciate it, man. Anytime.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, thanks very much. Like I said, lootgamer.com, blah blah blah. You guys hear all the bullshit. Anyway, Shrek man, you got anything else to say?
If it's loot, it's good.
Yeah. Thank you guys for having us. Well, I'll see you later.
No problem.
It's good to have you. And I'm going to duck out, too. It's been good talking to you guys, and good night, all of you watchers.
Prince of Darkness, great having you as always.
Yep, as usual. I'm going to wait and see. So, I don't know. Dry Bones really wanted to come in here, and then he fucking disappeared. So, let me see if I can raise him somehow.
Well, if Dry Bones doesn't want, if Dry Bones doesn't get in here soon, I'm just going to wrap the show up. Anything you want to talk about in the meantime?
Yeah, so possible big shout out to PC Gamer. They have just revised their ethics policy, and they've kicked Tyler Wilde off of any and all Ubisoft coverage in the future ever. So that is happening right now. So we can talk about that while I try to scramble to raise Dry Bones.
Well, Dry Bones is in the chat, and he says it's too late. I don't know what that means.
It's not too late. Get in here, Dry Bones, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, you sound like you had something important to say. The only issue I had was you came in here uninvited, and I didn't appreciate that, so I did have to.
It's fucking, yeah, well, we were in the middle of another segment, but, Dry Bones, get the fuck in here, you're wanted. I want to hear your shit posting.
Has PC Gamer commented on deleting of all those articles though?
That's a good question.
No, they haven't. They've said that they've changed. They're not even reviewing. They have changed their ethics policy, and they've kicked this guy off of reviewing any Ubisoft games in the future, and even covering Ubisoft at all. And they've apologized and said that's what they should have done to begin with, because it was an obvious conflict of interest. But they haven't commented on deletions. So, I mean, you can't, I don't know. You can only expect so much, but they've shown that they are at least better than the gaming media, who instead dug their shit in and did. Oh, Dry Bones just wanted to yell at Ralph. That's why.
Wow, Now, this is exactly no. This is exactly what I'm talking about. All right, bears have been told multiple times here. Also, a quick clarification on what I said in the opening statement. I said it was the 15th. It's really the 16th, and that was called out not early on, but really didn't have the time to address it. So, on this beautiful Friday of the 16th of January, I'm going to wish all of you a good day. Enjoy doing what you're doing. Fight less, work more, or if you must fight, hey, troll and make it entertaining. That's all I have to say about that. And also, if you have to leave on a good note. And if you have to screw with somebody, just do it in a way that's, mutually beneficial for both parties so you can come to some sort of an understanding. I mean, Zan had an issue with Monday Matt. We addressed it here. That's when we can do it. You can also address these things in private. That's probably the best way you can resolve these issues. Or at the very least, just, disassociate yourself with someone if you can't do anything else. I mean, there's no need to keep, fighting with each other. Just, come on. All right.
Nah, do it in public so we can be entertained.
On that note, have a good day, everyone, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Yeah, see you all next time.
All right, see ya.
Boys.